welcome to the Recruiter Podcast. And there's a young gentleman sitting right in front of me.
Here I am.
The famous and confused Mike Logan. We should really sue this guy. Because when you Google Mike Logan, this other guy shows up, dude.
Yeah, he's been a bane of my social media existence for a while.
Is that his name?
His name is there's 4 people named Mike Logan that if you well 5 technically. If you Google Mike Logan, the first thing that comes up is Detective Mike Logan from Law and Order. Chris knows.
Oh,
the second thing is usually me.
right.
Then there's also a Mike Logan in Los Angeles, a black comedian named Mike Logan in Los Angeles, and there's one in Washington D.C., a black comedian named Mike Logan. The one in D.C. doesn't really do comedy that much anymore. I mean, I haven't seen his name mentioned anywhere. But that one video, that Live at Gotham one, is when people Google me, that's the one that always comes up.
Yeah.
Because I think people come to me and they'll always be like, "Oh, I loved your set at Gotham." I'm like, "I have not done Gotham."
Right. Right. I mean, I said the exact same thing to you.
Yeah.
And then when you sent me the other clip, it was like, oh, shit, this guy, the real guy, is funnier than the other guy. So I said, that's good.
Yeah, I've watched his clip and I watch it and I'm like, oh, this is, I don't like that. This is my name.
All right, so I got to get in my live reads here, but I want you to consider a question just for a minute, and then we'll get back to it. So, GOAT, greatest of all time comedian. Think about it for a minute. Tell me who it is. You only get one, and you got to tell me why. All right, and then now we're going to get into some live reads because this stuff ain't cheap. And we got to pay the bills. First one is a mutual friend of ours, Mr. Keening, and the Rockstar Auto Conference. He puts on a conference for automobile dealers across the country. And we were in Vegas 3 weeks ago, something like that. We're going to be in Nashville next month. They're free to attend. It's what Matt has done in this venue has taken everything that automobile dealers have done for a million years in terms of conferences and that kind of thing and totally flipped everything. It makes it absolutely, there's no more affordable than free. So it gets it done pretty good. But they just do everything so right. The venues are fun. In Vegas, they were it was on Fremont. So that was pretty cool. But any additional information, visit rockstarinfo.com, rockstarinfo.com for the next unconference.
Do they give out Rockstar energy drinks at these conferences?
They give out all kinds of stuff.
Seems like it would be a missed opportunity if they didn't.
Yeah. So they had a thing where it was like, okay, stand up if you've been in the car business 1 to 3 years. So everybody stands up. And then they kept going up 3 to 5 years, 5 to 10 years, 10 to 15 years. And I go, oh, man, I know where this is going. I know where it's going, man. Then we go up to 35 years, and there's 3 of us standing. And the two others that were standing other than me yelled over and said, we might as well sit down because, Craig, you could stand up here all day. And sure enough, it was 46 years. And it was like
46 years?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I've literally never done anything for that long.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah, me neither. Yeah, it's all I could do, so worked out good. All right, next friend of the program is a company called Tacobi. They are the #1 lead generator for Facebook. Find in-market buyers for dealerships all over the country. These are the hardest working, smartest people I've seen in the car business in regard to this in a very long time. They really, really know their stuff. You go to Tacobi.com. It's TECOBI, and they really kick ass. They're an awesome, awesome company. Next friend of the program I want to talk about is our friends at Dealer World, mydealerworld.com, mydealerworld.com. I like calling them an ad agency because I like thinking about them because Troy's a personal friend of mine, so I like to think about them sitting around on a Friday afternoon drinking bourbon like in Mad Men. So
It's always weirds me out when I ever see like old time stuff like that and just think that all these executives were just hammered drunk making these decisions.
Man. They were.
Like they just drink it all day long.
Dude, my dad was in the car business, and I can remember my mother and I going to see him when my parents were still married, and unbeknownst to him, we'd show up for whatever reason, and going to a meeting, and they were all hammered. And it's like 3 o'clock in the afternoon. He ran a gigantic Cadillac dealership, like with all this from Cleveland, Ohio. So all the sports stars were there, and it was weird, man. But you're right. I mean, it's like
every time I see a TV show, it's like they just get in the office. It's 9 a.m.
Yep.
Pour a glass of scotch. It's like, what are you doing, man? You're about to make important decisions, and you're just gonna be drunk the whole time.
I haven't drank. Matter of fact, it was June 10th was my 26th year without a drop of alcohol.
Oh wow!
And
I've gone about 12 hours.
12 hours?
Got that going for me.
Well, that's a good start. It's going to take a while, but you can do it if you want to do it. I don't think you want to do it, though.
Not yet.
No.
I drink a lot of water, so I think that balances it out.
Yeah. You got to lose some stuff. The only way to quit drinking is you got to lose a bunch of stuff.
Yeah,
You got to you got to lose all your money, lose your car, lose your house, lose your family, lose your girlfriend, boyfriend, kids. Do you have kids?
I have a daughter, yeah.
Yeah. You got to lose all that shit.
She's actually the reason I quit smoking. I used to smoke cigarettes, and I quit like 6 years ago or something like that. No, I guess it was like 4 or 5 years ago. But she said to me, she went to bed, I was out having a cigarette. She came out to the front door, and she was like, "Hey, Dad, are you going to die early because of those?" And then I quit the next day.
Shit. I still smoke, and it's a real problem for my granddaughters.
Yeah.
A real problem for one of them in particular. And the last friend of the program is Automoto HR. Automoto HR is a recruiting, it's so many things. It's a recruiting platform. It's an applicant tracking system. It absolutely does everything that big recruiting companies like AutoMax, like our company, does. Matter of fact, when you guys, I'm sure you see, because we post them ad nauseum. But when we post about a dealer, a video from a car dealer saying, "Where the hell did you find all these people? We've been advertising, blah blah blah, and we couldn't find them. Where did you find these people?" The answer is pretty simple. It's the Automoto HR platform. So we use it, we sell it. It's the best there is, and it's inexpensive, to say the least. So go to automotohr.com, or you can call AutoMax, call the office, mention the Recruiter Podcast. You save a couple bucks. So we'll get back to our friends of the program later, because they got to pay us more money. So the more time I mention them, the more money they pay us.
It's a pretty good deal.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're much more professional in your ad reads than I am on mine.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I've played with it a couple different ways. When Ernie, one of my partners, comes in there, he reads them. He's got them memorized, and he reads them word for word.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. And it drives me crazy, so I have to bust them up every once in a while, But, okay, so greatest of all time. Where are we at?
That's a hard question, but I think I've come up with an answer. I was wrestling between two people. Well, I was wrestling between three people. I'll tell you two of the people I was wrestling between, and I'll tell you who I picked. Two of the three people I was wrestling between was George Connor and Richard Pryor, for two different reasons. Richard Pryor is a master of taking like personal tragedies and turning them into humor.
Yep.
And George Carlin is a master of social commentary, which I think are two very important things in comedy. I think comedy should be, obviously it's supposed to be funny first of all. But I think another really important thing is it's supposed to say something. Like, you're supposed to learn something that you didn't know before, or experience a lifestyle that you never experienced. And I think both of those people are really good at it. But I think the one comedian that's really good at both of those things is Dave Chappelle, and that's my goat.
Yeah.
I think that
That's true.
when you watch his whole any hour or hour and a half or however long he's doing, it runs the
He can
gamut.
go pretty long.
I think he did a show in Detroit once that was like 2 hours long, and he was really high the whole time, and like people wanted their money back afterward.
Really?
Yeah, it was pretty bad. But then the next night he did a show in Detroit as well, and talked about the night before and crushed apparently. But I mean, that's just an example of like he's just very good at like telling an interesting story that makes you think and makes you listen and makes you laugh. And he's just I can watch him. I could watch him. He's one of the only comedians I think I could watch for like 2 hours,
Right.
and be satisfied. Because I think comedy, an hour is, I think, the most you should be able to watch comedy.
I agree.
But some of those comics will stretch that, and Dave is very famous for like going in the belly room and the Comedy Store and just sitting in a stool, lighting a bunch of cigarettes, and talking for 3 hours straight.
Right.
And I'd watch it.
Right. Well, and I think what's additionally interesting to all that is that watching it on TV, on Netflix, all these specials that are coming out, because it's really, I guess it's a double-edged sword. It's a great time to be a comic, I would think, from the amount of opportunities.
Yeah.
However, now there's a zillion comics too.
It's super oversaturated.
Right, I would think.
That and the Netflix, like you said, is a double-edged sword because, it's giving all these comics great opportunity, but it's also ruining live comedy because people have so
totally
much
different, man.
They have so much access to just comedy at home. Why would they
Right.
want to go to a comedy club and spend $25 for a
Right.
ticket when you can
Yeah.
see 35 specials on Netflix?
But it's night and day, isn't it? I mean, what you see on TV and what you experience live are like apples and oranges.
I recommend to everybody who says like, "Oh, have you seen this special?" It's like, "Well, have you seen them live?" Because like, and it's very like hipstery, like, "Oh, they're much better live," kind of thing to say. But like, comedy is supposed to be experienced live. Like, it was created live. Like, it wasn't. It didn't come from listening to. I mean, I guess it did come from listening to records, but the idea was to go to a comedy club and experience it, buy a drink, sit in a room with a bunch of strangers, and laugh at stuff. Like laughter's infectious, so it helps to be surrounded by people.
Right.
I mean, it's fine to watch it by yourself, but I mean, why would you want to when you can see them in the flesh?
Right, exactly my point. Dave Chappelle, huh? When I started researching to do this podcast, probably, I don't know, a year and a half ago, it took me into some wormholes, one of which was Joe Rogan.
Mm-hmm.
And so, gosh, I'm almost embarrassed to say this, but no, not really. I've had to have watched 50, 60, 70 full-length, 2 or 3 hour podcasts it is.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah, right? Right.
That's a lot of content.
Yeah, because, well, I thought, this guy's a hell of a good interviewer. He's really freaking smart. And so I just wanted to see how he did things. But it got me, what happened was, and so it took care of that part of it for me and my education for podcasting. But I think what was interesting to me is I got a whole new appreciation for comics.
Sure.
Because I didn't know. I didn't know who Bert Kreischer was. I didn't know who Joey Diaz was. I didn't know who I think is funniest.
Joey's great, yeah.
He's so nuts. Bill Burr, Louis C.K.
I love Bill Burr. Bill, I was doing a show once in out of state. So I live in Michigan. Mm-hmm. I was doing a show out of state. I'm driving back from the show, and I'm listening to the Bill Burr Monday Morning podcast.
Right.
It's like one of my favorite podcasts.
Yeah.
I'm listening to it on the way back, and I get a text from my friend. It's a picture of him, and the comedy club in my city where I live is called Dr. Grins. And there's a picture of my friend with Bill Burr in the green room at Dr. Grins.
No way.
Because he did a show at this venue, like not Dr. Grins, but he did a bigger show that night, and then just dropped in the club and did like a quick 15-minute set.
Whoa.
So my friend sends me a picture with Bill, and I'm like, dude, I hit the gas. I'm like, I got to get back.
Right.
I speed back to the club, and I get back there, and they're like, oh, he's gone.
Oh, man.
So then I leave. I'm like, I'm mad. I could have met Bill Burr.
Yeah.
I leave. I go to this bar called Stella's, which is like this bar that's got like a bunch of like classic arcade games in it and stuff. And across the street is this bar called the Pyramid Scheme, which is a bar that has a bunch of pinball machines in it. And so I'm sitting at Stella's. I sat there like all night, and then I went home. I go to listen to the Bill Burr podcast the next day. It's the Monday morning one. So this was the show on Saturday.
Gotcha.
I went to Stella's on Saturday night. Monday, I'm listening to his podcast, and he's talking about his night in Grand Rapids. And he says, he says, I did the Fountain Street Church. It's a great venue, which is weird. There's a church in Grand Rapids. It's a concert venue. And like everybody's played there. Like Aerosmith's played there. Like
Really?
Elton John's played. Like it's this huge venue,
Wasn't
and it's a
aware.
church.
Cool.
But so he's talking about it, and he says, yeah. Then I dropped into the comedy club there, and then me and who was he with? Joe DeRosa. He's like, me and Joe DeRosa, we went over to this place called the Pyramid Scheme and hung out there all night.
No
He was across the street the
way.
whole night.
You gotta be kidding me,
Yeah,
dude.
I was so mad.
Wow.
I could have just walked across the street, seen Bill Burr, but
Yeah, well, you'll end up bouncing into him. He is funny.
I love him,
man.
dude. He's the best angry comedian there is. Like he
Yeah.
is just so good at just channeling rage.
Right. He's so smart.
Yeah.
And just the way he puts it out there is funny. Same with Louis C.K. I think, obviously very unfortunate what he did, but man, they're killing this guy. There's no redemption.
It's
for him.
crazy because he is one of the, if not the best comedian of our generation.
Right.
And he did some real crappy thing. What's the language like on here?
Go for it.
Okay.
Anything.
Well, he did some real shitty things.
Yeah.
And rightfully so, he got punished for it.
Yeah.
But then I think the question really is how long before he served his time?
Right, exactly.
Because he's trying to come back, but people are really against him coming back.
That's right.
And
yeah.
it's we believe in rehabilitation when it comes to criminals.
Right.
And it's and I'm not saying I'm not the authority to say whether or not
Right.
he should be able to come back from what he did.
Yeah.
But how long is long enough
Right.
to be punished for it?
Why isn't there or shouldn't there be a road to redemption? None of us are perfect.
Well,
so.
I think also what his problem is he never really apologized for it.
No, he didn't.
I
He
think
didn't.
If he would have apologized, I think there would have been because all he did was say, "I understand what I did was wrong," but
Yeah.
he never said, "I'm sorry for what I
right,
did."
to these women.
Yeah, and even his act, his new stuff that's been leaked or whatever,
Yeah.
he's not really. He's addressing the fact that he lost a bunch of money,
Right.
But he's still not really taking
Yeah.
the onus for what he did.
Yeah, nobody cares about the money. he
Yeah,
lost.
he's like, oh, I lost $50 million. It's dude, we don't care about that. We just want you to say sorry for the crap that you did.
Right.
And I think that if he would have done that, if handled that better, Kevin
Yeah.
Spacey's the same way.
Yeah.
He handled
Yeah.
his really badly.
Yeah, man.
He forced himself on somebody.
Yep.
And then when it came out in the light, he's like, oh, I'm gay. It's like, well, that's not an apology. What?
Yeah.
It's weird. I think the person who's apologized the best was Dan Harmon, one of the co-creators of the show Rick and Morty. He got accused of it's a cartoon on Adult Swim on Cartoon Network. And it's insanely popular. I love that show. It's very funny. And it's created by these two guys, Dan Harmon and Justin Roiland. Dan Harmon also created the show Community on NBC.
Okay.
But he got accused by a former coworker of his of having a sexually aggressive work environment. He didn't he didn't sexually assault her or anything, but he was just very misogynistic and stuff towards her. Mm-hmm. And he wrote this long apology, acknowledging his flaws as a man and all the things he did wrong and putting himself in her shoes. And it was a great apology. And he immediately was welcome back in the community because he seemed genuinely remorseful. And I think that's what Louis' problem is. He's never once seemed to have regretted what he did.
Right.
And it was always, oh, you should have seen the signs. I talk about it all the time on stage.
Right.
So that doesn't make it better.
And he is touring, right? I mean,
He's doing
clubs.
small. He's doing clubs and stuff, yeah.
Right. And so, somebody's got evidently, he's got nobody with any brains around him. Because, that's pretty easy.
I don't think he has, a publicist or anything.
Oh.
Because I think he does all his stuff. Because even he doesn't even, release albums or anything traditional ways. He puts them all on his own personal website.
Oh.
So I don't think he has, I'm not 100% sure, but it doesn't
Right.
seem like he does have a publicist.
Yeah, because you would think someone would say, "Hey, dude, this ain't working out this way. Let's try plan B here."
It's always weird with remember when Tom Cruise fired his publicist?
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
went nuts.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
weird. You never
Totally
think
went
about
nuts.
a publicist until you see someone who doesn't have one.
Right.
And you're like, oh, they don't have a publicist.
Yeah, and it's obvious.
Yeah, like Bill Murray, he isn't a publicist.
Right.
But Bill Murray's great. Everybody loves Bill Murray.
So in getting into Rogan and going deep in all those guys, and they seem to they really help each other out. We talked about that briefly, where he'll have Segura and Christina, his wife, and Kreischer, and Joey Diaz, and Burr, and he'll have all these guys on. But I like when he talks about, to your point, oh my God, I'm drawing a blank. Your greatest of all time, Chappelle.
Oh, Chappelle, yeah.
Where he tells a story about being in New York City when Chappelle was like 19 or 20 and going
I've seen that,
outside
yeah.
and performing live outside at 20 years old, and people putting money in a hat and so forth. It's like, there's got to be some genius there, man. There's no way.
Dave, he is, man. Like, he also just loves comedy too.
Yeah.
Like I know a lot of open mic comedians
Yeah.
who would never go outside on a street corner
Right.
and tell jokes like that.
Right.
And it's like, and it's an unfortunate side effect, I think, of the industry that it is today. And I think because there's so many avenues to get famous quick now,
Yeah.
that a lot of newer comedians don't want to do the work.
Right.
And like when you list an example of like Joe Rogan talking about seeing Chappelle do that and like having that influence him, like that's something that I wish that like a lot of newer comics could see. Like the fact that Chappelle was just as funny. I mean, obviously he's matured a lot since then, but he was funny at 19. Like he was on
Right.
Def Comedy Jam when he was like 18 years
Yeah,
old.
how can you be funny at 18? You don't know how to walk and chew gum at the same time as a human being.
My friend,
it's so weird.
My friend Garrett, the guy I do my podcast with, he started comedy when he was 16.
Really?
Yeah, and he's funny as hell. But I mean, I don't think I could have done stand up when I was 18. I don't
man.
think I just think the idea of having the patience to sit down and write a joke at the
Right.
age of 18 years old,
Right.
the discipline it takes to like go to New York, to do open mics in New York, which is rough, to go there,
Yeah.
do a show for 3 people in a room,
Right.
and then go outside and
Yeah.
do it again
Yeah.
and busk on the corner. Like,
Get paid $20.
yeah, I mean, that's dedication, and that's why he is where he is now. Like, that's why he's Dave Chappelle,
Right.
because he's got that drive and that hustle
Yeah.
that's really lost in a lot of young people.
How long have you been doing this?
Not super long. I got lucky. I've been unfortunate enough to, 1, be funny, and 2, meet the right people at the right time, kind of thing, to where I am able to like travel and do it. But I've only doing it like I think 6 or 7 years.
Yeah.
I've matured a lot in those 6 or 7 years, and my comedy's changed a lot. Like it used to be. It used to be just straight up stories from my childhood. Like my first show I ever did, I told a story about trying to impress some girl in northern Michigan, which is pretty much like the South. Like northern Michigan is just like the farther north you get, the more
peninsula?
Confederate flags you see. Well, the lower peninsula. So like,
Oh.
like this is Michigan.
Oh, okay,
The
I
lower
gotcha.
peninsula.
I gotcha.
Like I live here in Grand Rapids. Here's Detroit.
Right.
And then I lived up here in Petoskey.
Okay.
And like the UP is like here, just across
Yeah.
the bridge.
I went to school in Midland.
That's the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I was a disc jockey on the local radio station there. So
How was
I
that?
going to school. It was fun.
Yeah.
It was fun. It paid no money, but and we were on from 10 till 2 in the morning. So
Well, you can do whatever you want.
yeah, so at midnight we signed off of the top 40 stuff, and then we got to play the shit that we really wanted to play. You know, it was pretty cool. Yeah, it was
Some
pretty-
pirate radio stuff.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome, man. One night it was a friend of mine's birthday, so I played "Your Birthday" by the Beatles. He was 18, so I played it 18 consecutive times. People were yelling, calling up, "You assholes, play something else."
It's like,
Okay, no problem. Ba-da-na-na-na, I hear it's your birthday.
that's funny.
Someone else call, because you're going to get it until I get up to 18.
Did anybody realize that you were doing it 18 times?
Yeah, no, not to begin with. So 6 years, isn't that weird that you're doing something like all these guys say that 10-year mark is kind of the mark?
Well, yeah, they say you're supposed to do something for 10 years before you're an expert at it.
Yeah. So it boggles my mind. It's like, okay, I mean, you got to have a deep desire to do this. All right, I'm going to starve. Not starve.
No, you're pretty much right.
Yeah.
That's pretty much how it is. For
Yeah,
the
I'm gonna eat out of trash cans. So I'm not gonna make a lot of money,
first. Yeah.
and it could be for 5 or 10 years.
Yeah, you don't know, yeah.
But if I stay at it, keep working my craft, keep writing, keep thinking, put myself in a position to be lucky because that's half of it, man.
Well, they say
Being in the right
it's
place, right
90% talent or 10% talent, 90%, essentially business, like who
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's most entertainment.
I think that's true.
Yeah, I do too. I mean, I know a lot of people who have 10% of talent, but 100% of the connections.
Yeah.
And you can ask anybody in the comedy community, and they'll say, "Oh, there's tons of guys who are headlining who shouldn't be headlining." Like, they always say that kind of stuff.
Right.
And it's not a slight to them so much as a slight to the individual's work ethic. Because it's like, yeah, they're not. Maybe I think I'm funnier than that guy, but am I working as hard as that guy? Probably not. That's probably why he's where he is now. So I mean, comedy is all about like it's really just about like constantly nagging people who book shows.
Right.
Like it's about emailing comedy clubs over and over again, never getting responses, and then doing it again every 3 months until finally they say, okay, we have this weekend open. And it's all about getting your foot in a door. Because like once you get your foot in the door at this club, you go to the club, you do well, you're in that club for the next, however long.
Are you trying to do most of what you're doing locally in Grand Rapids in that general area in Detroit or what?
I travel, so I run a bunch of shows in that area, but I travel all over the country. So I mean, like last month I was in like Iowa and Nebraska. This month I'll be down in Louisville, Kentucky. I've been, as far south as Texas, as far north as Duluth, Minnesota. So I mean, it's really just anywhere. I haven't ventured super west yet.
Yeah.
But I mean, I've got to the part where I feel like I've not run my course so much, but Michigan is I've kind of molded it for all it's worth so far. Like I run 2 open mics and 3 pro shows while I'm there, and
like
then
as a host.
Yeah, well, I book it and I host it.
Gotcha,
So like I book them, I organize them, and that takes up a lot of time. But then on the weekends, I'm traveling all over the country doing shows, bar shows, some club shows, some VFW halls. It's just kind of just doing whatever you can make money doing.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's starting to get to the point where I'm like, okay, I'd like to go somewhere bigger because as much as I enjoy kind of being a bigger fish in a smaller pond, I would much rather enjoy the challenge of being in an ocean. Like I love competition. I'd love to be able to go to an open mic and see comics who I think are as good or better than me on that open mic.
Comedy store, man. That's where you got to end up, right?
Well, I mean, I actually have an acquaintance that works at the comedy store because like you can get a job there as a door person and they'll let you do time and stuff. Like that's how that works.
Right.
And
do you mind if I?
Oh no, go ahead.
Okay.
So I mean, like that is always like, I mean, if you get into a Laugh Factory or the Comedy Store, like those are all Laugh Factories are good because they're all over the country.
Right.
So you can audition for like there's one in Chicago, which is like 2.5 hours from where I live. I can go there, audition. If I get
nice.
If I get pulled on, like if I were to get picked as like a paid feature, then I could book shows at Laugh Factories all across the country, and that's one way to get in.
Right.
So it's all about who you know, and then it's like you also got to make friends with a headliner who will take you to a club. It's like I did a show with Chris Kattan a couple months ago, and it's like I talked to his opener, who was just some guy who opened for him once actually at the Comedy Store in Los Angeles, and Chris liked him, and now he travels the country with him opening for him. So I mean, it's all about like just finding that one, like doing that one show for that one person who gives you that one connection.
Yeah.
Like I did a show, it didn't go anywhere, but I did a show with Michael Palisak?
Not familiar with the name.
He's a road dog kind of comic. He was on like Colbert. He's been on Colbert and like Jimmy Fallon and stuff. And I did a couple shows with him, and he was impressed by me, and then I wish he would have given me his manager's email, but he gave my clip and my email to his manager.
That sucks.
So it's like I'm kind of
no way to follow up.
Yeah, I'm like in the wind on it, which sucks, and I don't ever want to be like bothering him. Like, hey man, did your manager say anything? Because that's just weird. But I mean, it's the one connection you need where somebody like my friend Garrett worked with. What's her name? She's on the Roast Battle. I can't think of her name right now. Ooh, doesn't matter. She's important. Like, she's a big deal. I cannot think of her name. But I mean, he did a show with her, and then she gave him the email to the producers of Conan.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So it's like, so now he's able to send clips to Conan to try and get on Conan. So it's literally it's just who you know. Like, you just run to the right person at the right time. As long as you're funny, things will happen for you. But we're all just waiting for that. My friend Garrett, he's been doing comedy, like I said, since he was 16. So he's been doing it about 12 years.
Yeah.
And it took till last year to get that connection.
Right. And
so
you're totally committed to this.
Yeah, it's all I do. I mean, I also do voiceover work and a little bit of acting, but I mean, comedy is like the majority of my life. Like, I don't have a day job or anything. Yeah. So that's what I do. I like to make people laugh. It feels good to make people laugh. Like, you know what the best feeling is? The best feeling is when you do a show and you do well, and everyone's afterward. it's a very great ego boost after a show to stand in that kind of receiving line.
bet,
when
man.
people just walk by and like, oh, you're amazing.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
and when someone will come up to you and they'll be like, oh, I've had just the worst day ever. Like, this and this and this happened. But like for the last hour, I just had the greatest time. Like, that's awesome. Like, that's like, cool, man. I mean, I like getting paid, but I like that just as much. Like,
You
it's
bet.
a good feeling.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's a big part of life.
Yeah,
Life
I think
balance.
comedy's important. I hope it never goes away. I don't think it ever will, but
Right.
I hope it never ever goes away because I think it's important.
Yeah, well, it's getting a little tricky, though. You got to be careful what you say, which I never thought would ever happen. But you have to be careful what you say now.
Yeah, the rise of the PC culture.
It seems like it, and some of it is just, it's ridiculous. But
I think it has a lot to do with people. There's a lot of comedians who complain about like the lack of like open-mindedness in comedy fans nowadays, especially the younger generation, like my generation and younger. And I think a lot of it has to do with if the comedy is good comedy, it shouldn't matter what you're saying. It should still work.
I agree.
And I know it's a lot of older comics who will say it, and a lot of their material is just kind of dated and it's kind of out of touch. And it's like if you just adjust your material a bit, like you take a joke that has like a word that's offensive and maybe just change that word to something else, and then as long as the joke still works, it still works, and then you don't offend anybody. And it's easy to not be offensive. I guess it's probably easier to be offensive than it is to not be offensive.
Yeah, I would think.
But I just think there's a lot of comics who like, all their sets are just talking about like the same stuff that was kind of okay in the 90s and the early 2000s, but just isn't now.
Yeah.
And they're just like, well, these people are too sensitive. It's like, well, maybe they're not too sensitive. Maybe they just realize that it's not cool to say something.
Right. Yeah. It's like so many dick jokes, so many pussy jokes. Just after a while, it's like, okay,
dude. It's like I
said,
I host 2 open mics, so 2 days a week I sit and I watch about
here's
10
some crazy
amateur comics,
stuff.
and it's all just, and it's not all. There are a lot of, sorry to anybody who's like done my show, but I mean, a lot of it is like it's just the same kind of like dick,
Right.
and it's like everybody's doing that joke. Do something else,
Right.
Like
Right.
I think I tweeted something the other day that was like because a lot of times, sometimes you'll see a comedian and like will start to tell a joke, and then someone in the crowd will yell the punchline, and it's like if you're telling a joke and the crowd yells the punchline,
That's a problem.
it's not on them. That's on you for writing an unoriginal joke.
Exactly right.
Write a better joke.
or stole it.
Yeah. So I mean, like I think a lot of comedians. I don't know what it is. 'Cause
Are these mostly younger people that you're talking about at the
no,
open mic?
Not really. I mean, the open mic,
all over the
it
place?
ranges. Like it can be anywhere from like an 18-year-old girl to like a 55-year-old guy. So I mean, it ranges from everybody. But for very rarely do I see somebody at an open mic and I think, oh, this person's they got it. Like
I would think women would have a real challenge at this, man.
I mean,
especially an attractive woman would have a real challenge.
The women that I've talked to in comedy, like I try to be inclusive in my shows. Like I try to reach out to women to get them on the lineups. There's just not a lot of women who do comedy. And so when you look at a lineup of comedians, for the most part, it's going to be white males.
Right.
You're going to see every now and then a black guy, every now and then a black woman, and every
Right.
now and then a white woman.
Right.
But for the most part, it's white males. Like because white males are the guys who are going to do comedy, like for the most part.
Right.
So I mean, like when you look at, if you've got a room full of 100 comedians, maybe 20 will be females, maybe. And it's not because like they're not funny. It's just
Right.
because they don't do comedy as much as men do.
Yeah.
And it's weird because I've seen some sleazeball people in the entertainment industry.
Right.
And like I'm a 6'2" black guy in pretty good shape. I'm not really scared of anybody.
Right.
But I sometimes like I'll talk to some guys like that are like running shows and stuff. And the way they talk about women, I'm just like, no wonder no women do your show. Like you're awful. And like I feel bad for women in comedy because they just put up with it.
Yeah.
It's kind of like people talk to me like, oh, how do you put up with like racist people? It's like, well, it happens. This is America. Like I just put up with it. Like that's how it is with women in the entertainment industry.
Right.
It's like, how do you put up with guys talking to you like that? Well,
Right.
if I want to work in the entertainment industry, and it sucks and it's terrible that that's what it is, but it is. And I try my best to make all my shows like a safer environment for female comedians because I know how bad. Like I go into a room and I'm lucky if I see another black person most of the time.
Really?
So I know what it's like to like be the minority in a room. And
Really?
like female comedians, they don't see other female comics in the room. They go to the comics table and it's just a bunch of dudes talking.
Oh yeah, good point.
So
yeah, that's right.
So I mean, I feel like it's hard to even try to fit into a community where you don't see anybody who looks like you.
Yeah, unless you're in Detroit.
Well, yeah. I mean, there's
but
the
then you
urban
said
community,
the white people are moving in there, so now it's more diverse because there's more whites moving in there or something.
I did
the
a
joke was.
Oh yeah.
was like,
Forgot about that joke.
that was funny.
Yeah, I
Man.
said it was the first time I've ever seen a place become more diverse by adding white people.
Right, yeah.
That's Detroit, Michigan.
That was a good line. So in 1970, so I was 19 years old. I was hitchhiking around the country. My last ride, I think, I can't believe I can't remember this, but I think I got a train ride that let me off. How familiar are you with Detroit?
Very familiar.
Okay, so back in the day, I think this train stopped right at Cobol Hall or Arena or whatever it was called before they tore it down.
Well, the hall's still there. The arena's I think the
Oh,
arena's
is
gone.
it? Oh, okay. So I get off the train, and this little kid comes up to me and he says, "Shine your shoes, mister?" I said, "Dude, I got tennis shoes on, sneakers. Come on." Like, I'm shining them up. I said, "No, you can't shine my shoes
He's
up,
trying to make a
man."
buck over here.
I said, what are you doing out here?" I mean, this kid was like 7 or 8 years old. I said, "Come on, man. This is kind of dangerous for you out here." He said, "You're the one that's in danger, dude. It ain't me." I said, "Okay." So we're walking up Woodward Avenue, and I mean, in the 70s, it was a war zone. It was like, I mean, you know how wide that street is.
Yeah.
And I mean, literally, there were drunks and whatever. We'd literally have to walk over, me and my little 7-year-old buddy with a shoe shine kit. So we walk and walk and walk. And I'm trying to figure, let's see, like, I shouldn't be here. How am I going to get out of here? So we go into this record store right on Woodward Avenue. And just everybody watching me, I'm going, man, this doesn't feel right. So this guy comes in. This guy's got a helmet on with big horns coming out of his helmet, a motorcycle helmet.
Okay.
And dressed in all kind of black leather and just scary looking dude, man, gigantic man. He said, "Come here, both of you." He said, "What? You hop in the back of the motorcycle. I'm going to get you out of here." I said, "Okay, let's see. This guy looks like a freaking Viking. Do I save me and this young kid, or do I not trust him? What do I do?" So we got on the motorcycle with him, and he took us up wherever to safety. But it was like, wow, man, it was very intense because in the early 70s, Detroit was.
Yeah, I was born and raised in Detroit. I grew up 8 Mile and John R. But my dad would always tell me stories about like Detroit back in the day and stuff.
Oh man, Detroit! It's such. Oh man, when I went to college, I went to school. When I went to school up in Midland, I went to school with a bunch of kids that lived in Grosse Pointe and the whole big, stinky old wealth money.
Yeah.
And those were different people. And man, that shit changed like right now. Like right now, that all changed, and the whole environment changed. I mean, I read something. It's probably been 2 years now, but the feral dog situation in Detroit. I might have this totally wrong, but where there were more dogs in Detroit proper than humans.
Really?
Yeah, like I think I read this about 2 years ago, and I think it was a credible source. Or I could be totally making this shit up. I'm not sure which. But now,
because Detroit has a population as of last year of like 670,000 or something like that.
yeah, well, there couldn't be 600,000.
It seems like a lot of dogs.
Yeah, that would be a problem. That'd be something to be on the.
That'd be
news every
noticeable.
night.
I feel like.
Yeah, but I guess it's a real problem with all the. It is a problem though with all the burnout, houses.
Well,
and
yeah,
so
all those
forth.
all those families have just moved out and picked up and
Yeah.
probably didn't take their animals. Detroit's also been really bad
Yeah.
about animal negligence. Like even when I was like a kid, like I remember just always seeing like animal control like taking dogs from houses and stuff. Dog fighting was a big thing in the 90s in Detroit.
Really?
Yeah. Like there was some show on Animal Planet. It was like some show that follows like, animal rescuers or whatever.
Right.
And like it was like 4 different cities and like it was 4 different like animal control groups. 2 of them were from Detroit, and it was on like
wow.
Animal Planet. Like it's pretty bad.
Yeah.
I mean, it was. I don't know what it's like now because
Right.
I haven't lived there in a long time. But
Yeah. Well, my our buddy Dan Gilbert, who owns
good old Dan.
He owns the Cleveland Cavaliers. I'm originally from Ohio, so
Oh, you actually do know Dan?
no.
Oh, okay.
No, just from the standpoint of, you know,
Oh, yeah. He's given a lot of money to the city of Detroit.
he really has,
Yeah.
man. The guy puts his money. He just had a stroke.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, a week and a half ago. I think he's still in the hospital. He's doing okay, but he has flat out saved Detroit and Cleveland, I think.
I remember that open letter he wrote to LeBron when LeBron left Cleveland.
Like, dude, have somebody check before you hit send.
Dude, it's
Please.
like for all the things that LeBron James did for that city. It's all good now, I guess. It was funny the day he re-signed with Cleveland. It was the day they took that open letter off the website.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's right.
yeah.
That's right. I'm coming home. I'll never forget that. My sons called me. They were crying like grown men.
Yeah.
It was like, I'm crying. It was like, wow.
Dude, I was at a bar when Cleveland won that championship.
Oh, really?
And there was I wasn't in Cleveland. I was in Grand Rapids. But I was at a bar, and there was a bunch of
Close
Cleveland
enough.
fans sitting at the bar. And like they had their LeBron jerseys on. The second they won, started crying.
Yeah, man.
And it's like Cleveland had never won a championship, right? That's nuts.
Never in the NBA, no.
Yeah.
And it's been years in baseball. Been since 1948 in
Really?
baseball.
Oh, wow.
In 1964 in football, before the Super Bowl.
Jeez.
Yeah. It's been
I
a long time.
I feel like if the Lions ever win the Super Bowl, that'd be the only time I'd ever cry at a sporting thing.
Yeah.
I don't think they ever will, but if they did.
Detroit will get set on fire if they win the Super Bowl.
Dude,
They really, that whole city's on fire.
yeah.
It's going to go.
If
people
Detroit
go
was a Super Bowl,
crazy.
man. I remember when Detroit won the championship, the Pistons, the city went fucking nuts.
Yeah.
But we didn't burn anything. It was
No.
pretty nice. But I remember when we did the parade in 2004, there was 1.3 million people in downtown Detroit that day.
Wow.
Which is nuts because I don't know where they came from.
Double the population.
Yeah, in one day just for this parade. But I mean, that's the last championship we've won, I
Right.
think.
Yeah.
I don't think the Wings won one after that.
Yeah. Did the Tigers? No.
No, Tigers haven't won one since the 83.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
But yeah, the Lions. If the Lions ever won,
The Browns and the Lions have one unique thing in to each other is they both had no win seasons.
yeah, I was in Duluth doing a show, and everybody there's like Viking fans, obviously, because it's in Minnesota. But they're split between Viking and Packer fans there because they're so close to Green Bay. And I remember there was a woman sitting at the third row or something of the show, and she's wearing a Minnesota Vikings shirt. And I said something about I don't think the host had mentioned I'm from Michigan. Like he just introduced me as Mike Logan. And I said something about rooting for sports teams. And I was like, well, you guys got some good sports teams here. And then the woman was like, the Vikings are trash. And I'm like, didn't they make the playoffs this year? And she's like, yeah. Well, I was like, well, I am a Detroit Lions fan, so
You're right.
I don't think you have any room to talk.
Right. Sit there, shut up, laugh at the jokes.
I remember my dad took it really hard when Barry Sanders retired. And I remember as a kid not really understanding why he cared so much. And then when Calvin Johnson retired, I was like, oh, this is what it's like. It was rough. I mean,
it happened twice.
they retired because the team failed them.
How could it happen twice?
That team has just been mismanaged forever. I mean, we've made the playoffs twice since the merger.
They've totally blown a franchise quarterback. Stafford.
Oh my God, Stafford has been so wasted.
Yeah, completely.
And,
And he's coming to the tail end of his career, man.
I mean, every year it's always the same thing. It's always, we need to get an O-line. We need to get an O-line. We need to get an O-line. We never get an O-line.
Okay,
Ever.
So how about drafting some?
They never do. They never do. It's stupid. And he would be a great quarterback if he had some sort of protection.
Right.
Like he's durable. He's got a great arm. He's got great accuracy.
Right.
Like he's an Iron Man. Like he's played through so many injuries.
Right.
If we could just get him some protection.
With the exception of Calvin Johnson, they've drafted some complete train wreck wide receivers.
Who was it? They had Mike Williams.
Yeah, there was another Williams too, wasn't there?
Yeah, I think there was like two of them.
I think so.
Well, we had Herman Moore. He was decent.
Yeah, I mean, and those guys were great in college, man. I don't know. Send
Mike
them
Williams
to
was
Detroit.
awesome. He went to USC, right?
Yeah.
He was really good there.
Yeah, you send them to Detroit and they fall apart. It's so
Reggie
weird.
Bush.
Yeah,
We had him for like a season. And Dominican Sue. I mean, he was great when he played here, but we didn't win, so he left.
Barry Sanders is the strangest thing, though.
He just straight up
He
just left
was
in his
so
prime.
freaking good.
The rumor was that the rumor at first was that he left because he didn't want to break Walter Payton's record, and then later came out that he just didn't like the direction that the team was going, and they weren't putting anything around him.
Yeah,
and that's what Calvin Johnson said.
He said the same thing.
Yeah, he did the exact same. I mean, he quit. I mean, he wasn't in his prime, but he was still an elite wide receiver, and he just quit because they would refuse to put pieces around him. I mean, it's easy to shut an offense down when you have one player to throw through. Yeah. When we even had Golden Tate, and we had Golden Tate and Calvin Johnson in the same lineup, and Stafford was still only throwing to Johnson. They were only running plays for Calvin Johnson. It's like you've got two weapons now,
right?
Tate's spread it out.
Yeah, Tate's not exactly hamburger helper.
Yeah,
that guy's the real deal.
He's good. Like he won a championship with the Seahawks for a reason because he's a really good receiver, and we never utilized him.
Right.
I think it's just been we've never had a good coach. I think Stafford's career's had like 9 different coaches or something like that.
Is that right?
I mean, it's a lot. It might not be 9, but like it's definitely more than like 4 or 5.
You might not be that far off, man.
I mean, it's just. I'm literally getting irritated.
Yeah, I'm sorry, man. I don't want to take you to a dark spot.
Dude, last night when I was watching that game, some kid, I forgot I was in Philadelphia, and some kid was yelling about Durant getting injured, which I think we should talk about, the Durant injury.
Yeah.
But he was saying, oh, yeah, we're going to get Durant next year. I don't know. He said he's going to be a Sixer next year.
The Philly kid says.
Yeah, and then I was forgetting I'm in Philadelphia. I'm like, the Sixers can't afford to get Durant, and I'm like, and they're already overpaying Ben fucking Simmons as it is. And then I was like, oh shit, I mean, you guys can't afford to get Durant. And then he's like, oh, he got like really irritated. But it's like they can't afford him. Like they have no cap space for him. That's an unrealistic thing. He's good. I don't know. I think he tore his Achilles.
Right.
So he's probably going to be out for like a year.
See, now I'm not sure. Did he tear it or rupture it?
They think it's a tear. He had an MRI this morning, but I don't think the results have come out yet.
I'm 5 months post-surgery on a ruptured Achilles, which is a whole different ballgame.
Yeah.
I mean, it was separated this much.
Oh, geez, really?
The bottom of my Achilles was up here, and the bottom was here above my heel.
How'd you do that?
I have no idea. I've ruptured my left one twice years ago. Oof. This one, I didn't feel any pain. The first time when I did my left one years ago, dude, it sounded like wood cracking. I was playing basketball. I literally thought the wood on the floor cracked. That's how loud the sound was.
Oh my God.
And then I go, oh shit, my ankle's just like sitting there. So this time, nothing happened. I go see my doctor. It was a little weak. He said, well, it's torn. Let's take it to physical therapy. My physical therapist, who's going to be on the show, the guy's a freaking genius. He uses something called blood flow restriction. It's like basically it's like a when they take your blood pressure and they put that sleeve on you, and they pump it up. Well, this they put right on your thigh, and they pump it up, and they restrict 80% of your blood flow to the bottom of your leg. It's like a tourniquet, basically. And the idea is to lighten the load on it so you recover sooner, quicker, last longer, blah, 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 blah. But it's hard. It's like really freaking hard. But so I've been doing that, and I just don't know. I don't know if you really think about it. I'm not sure that any of these guys have come back from full Achilles tears or ruptures.
Kobe.
I guess Kobe maybe.
Kobe was the only one, but he still was kind of a shell of himself. He wasn't really in his prime still afterwards.
Yeah,
but Achilles is that's like a career ender.
It is, man. I mean, it's it's Achilles heel. I mean, that's it's but I mean, Brad Pitt got shot in the what movie that was? Thor. Troy, yeah. All right, nice job.
Yeah, I love movies, man.
So, yeah, and plus, I think he got a lot of experimental stuff in Paris. So.
Durant or
no, Kobe.
Oh,
yeah, he got a lot of stuff that we can't get here.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, I think he played what? Did he play another season after that?
Oh, at least.
Yeah,
maybe 2.
I don't know how you do something like that. I mean, if Magic Johnson can get rid of HIV, I guess Kobe can heal his Achilles.
Yeah, that's a whole weird deal. Who knows?
Money's a funny thing, you know. Like you have it, and you're all of a sudden in this new echelon of things that are available to you.
Yeah, yeah, oh yeah, yeah. Age is a killer. Not for me because I got money, but for the rest of y'all, oh y'all, you're screwed. You're dead.
It's weird. I was on Reddit the other day, and they were asking. The subreddit called Ask Reddit, where you just pose a question and people on Reddit answer it. And it was a question. It was non-Americans of Reddit. What is the one rumor you heard about America that you were shocked to find out was true? And the number one response was that people would just be injured instead of going to the doctor because they can't afford it. And it's like, it's true, especially for my generation. Like I'm 33. It's like my generation is the generation of like not going to the doctor because we just can't afford it.
Right.
Which sucks. But when you got Kobe Bryant money, you can have an Achilles and come back and still have a career afterwards.
That's right. Well, you go to Peru, you get stem cell shots, bang.
I still think Durant is such a slight build. Like I think that an injury like that is kind of dangerous for him.
Sure seems like it.
Because I feel like Kobe's he started off skinny, but he got beefy toward the end of his career.
Yep, they all do.
And like Durant has stayed skinny. And like that's not good for like I feel like a muscle tear is not good when you're skinny.
7 foot tall, man.
Well, he's 6'10".
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's probably right.
It's funny, but you see, he's legit 7 foot. He's listed at 6'10", so they can play him. They don't have to play him at center, essentially.
Yeah.
But I mean, like you watch him, like see him standing next to DeMarcus Cousins. They're the same height.
Yeah, that's weird. Right?
Yeah, it's weird because he doesn't. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I've never seen a 7-footer that can play like Durant. Like he plays like he's 6'6".
There's never been. Maybe way back with Kevin McHale, way back with the Celtics.
I can see that,
but
I think Durant's
he's no
Garnett's
close.
probably the closest.
Or that's a better example.
Like I think because he was pretty mobile and athletic and stuff.
Better example.
But even Garnett was shorter than Durant. He was 6'11".
Yeah, I guess that's true. And he didn't have the range that Durant had.
No, he was all mid range. He couldn't shoot threes to save his life.
Yeah, had he. That was just the beginning of that trend.
Rasheed Wallace, Kevin Garnett were like the start of the stretch four. Like that was.
I love Rasheed, man.
I hated Rasheed when he was on Portland. I was like, oh, this guy's dirty. He's a dirty player. The second he came to the Pistons, he works hard. He's out there hustling.
That's right, man. It's a blue collar guy, man.
He fit in so well in Detroit. Like I loved him. He was
match
great.
made in heaven.
Yeah, him and Ben Wallace together. Oof.
Yeah.
Ben Wallace actually he's a regular at a bar around the block from my house.
No way.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah,
where you perform?
Where I live in Grand Rapids, and we have a NBA G League team there. The Grand Rapids Drive, it's the Pistons G League team, and Ben Wallace is a part owner of it.
Oh,
so like he has a house in GR now, and like he goes to this bar called the Holiday Bar that's like by my house.
That's interesting.
Yeah,
that area is. I don't know if picking up is the right word, but that's a kind of a
dude.
moving...
It's on the upswing, man. Like,
yeah, right.
It's like it's got to be on a list of like fastest growing cities in America.
Yeah,
because like when I moved there, it's always been the second largest city in Michigan, which is weird because I'd never even been there before 6 years ago. And now it's just like it's developing. We've been named Beer City USA by USA Today magazine for the last like 3 years.
God, that's the second biggest city.
It is, yeah. Detroit's obviously number one, but yeah,
right.
Grand Rapids
bigger
is
than
next.
Ann Arbor and East Lansing.
It's got a lot of suburbs too, so it's pretty sprawling. The downtown's pretty small, but like it sprawls out a lot.
Yeah, that's true. You wanted to go further with Durant. Do you want to talk about what happened with the fans cheering?
Dude, that was the weirdest thing I've seen. And I remember there was actually the comedian you were just talking about, Nicole Arbor.
Yeah.
She tweeted because she's Canadian, and she tweeted that her interpretation of what happened was that people were applauding the steal, not knowing that he was injured. I don't think that's true because the second he got up and started limping, they started cheering even louder.
Yeah,
which I think is just. And granted, this is coming from a guy whose hometown is famous for the Mouse at the Palace. So, like, I know a thing or two about fans being really shitty.
Yeah, man, that was insane.
Oof, I remember watching that on TV just in shock, man.
Every time it comes on, it's like, you got to be kidding
It's so surreal.
me.
And then
could have been worse.
Well, I mean, the NBA is the only sport where you can literally touch players. Like, they're literally falling in your lap when you're sitting courtside.
Yep, literally.
And I think that's the one thing that makes it such an exciting product. I hope they never get rid of that.
Yeah.
But I mean, it comes down to remember the Warriors co-owner pushing Kyle Lowry the other day.
Yeah,
which is a weird thing to do. He got banned for a year from Warriors games.
Good.
But I mean, just the fact that Kevin Durant goes down, and as a fan, yes, that's great for us. Like I applaud that as a fan. But as a human being, that's a person, man. Like,
Right.
his career might be over.
It might be.
Like, that's not something that you should just laugh and applaud. I mean,
Right.
you watch the Raptors players; they're telling the crowd to like stop it and simmer down and stuff.
Right.
Like DeMarcus Cousins, I think, said it best after the game when they asked him. Well, first they asked him two questions. They said, "How do you feel about?" And you know Cousins, like Boogie's, like he's very outspoken.
Right.
And they said, "How do you feel about people who say after Durant's injury? How do you feel about people who say that he didn't have the heart?" And he's like, "Fuck him." That's all he said.
Oh, I saw that.
Yeah, and
I
then he
saw that
said,
too.
and then they talked about the fans, and he said it was trash. And then he said, "But we're just super athletes to them. We're not human beings.
Yeah.
All they care about is what we do between those two lines." It's
true.
and it's true, and it sucks. And I see it to a way lesser extent, where I get done with shows, and if you go back on my Facebook, which is hard to do because I post a lot of things on my Facebook, but there's always like just stuff that people say to me after shows, which I don't understand. People don't think of me as a person when I'm an entertainer. Like when I'm off stage, I'm a person. But like when I'm on stage and I'm in a comedy club, people come up to me and just say the worst stuff.
No
and they
kidding.
just think like I had a woman come up to me after a show one time, and she says, "Oh, you're very funny." And I'm like, Thank you very much." And then she says, "Normally people like you don't even have jobs, so it's a good thing you're out here doing this."
What?
And I'm just like, oh. And then in my mind, it's
People
like
like you don't have jobs.
yeah. And in my mind, it's like she thinks that's a compliment. Like she genuinely thinks she's giving me a compliment. Like I don't think she has any idea
How could that be construed as a compliment?
because she's saying, that I'm out here making something of myself. But like people say shit to me, and it's like they
Jesus,
forget that
man.
I'm a person. Like I have feelings, dude. Like that's not cool to say to me. Like people just say obnoxious things.
That's crazy.
I think it doesn't help with my profession though, just because like you do spend like 45 minutes to an hour getting to know me.
Yeah.
So when I get off stage, you think, not you, but like you as an audience member think, we're friends now.
Right,
But
right.
me, I'm like, I don't know who you are.
Right,
But like
yeah.
you know so much about me now
Right.
that you think it's now okay to say whatever you want.
Right.
And then I get a lot of people too. I would consider myself an entry level black friend. Where like I'm a black friend, but I'm not threatening in any real way. Like I'm wearing a turquoise shirt. Like you know what I mean? Like it's like I'm the kind of person who, if somebody's never met a black person in their life, they always feel very comfortable approaching me. And I think it's just because I'm well spoken and I'm pretty non-threatening. And they will come to me and they'll say things to me that you can tell they've been waiting to ask a black person their entire life. And it's just like
Seriously?
Oh yeah, like I once had a guy. I'm not making. I once had a guy come up to me and he says to me, "Hey man, what color is your semen? Like, is it a different color?"
What?
Yeah, and I'm like, dude,
Stop. That's bullshit.
I'm
That's
not,
a
dude,
joke,
I
man.
swear to God, I swear to God,
That's a joke.
I've had people ask me what color my boogers are. Like I've had people ask me just the dumbest thing because like they forget, like, dude, I'm underneath this skin. I've got organs and just the same stuff that you got.
No way.
People are real ignorant.
What color's your cum? How do you answer? How do you answer questions like that, man?
You say same as yours, and then you move on.
Yeah. Next, get your picture.
It is
All right,
very
next.
weird, man. Like I said, man, people when you're in the business of entertaining somebody, whether it be an athlete, radio disc jockey, a comedian, people don't look at you as a person anymore. They just look at you as something to entertain them with.
I suppose that's true. I speak at a lot of conferences, and they're smaller room. Well, you've worked some small rooms, I'm sure.
I have. Yeah. I did a show last weekend. One of the shows there was 4 people there.
Yeah.
So that was fun. I mean, I still got paid, but
Yeah. I think maybe 10 is the smallest, and a couple hundred is the biggest. But even that, just speaking on a subject from the automobile business, and these people are there and all in the automobile business, they expect you to give them the magic bullet, the secret to life, the secret to making millions in a matter of 45 minutes. And it's like, guys, I'm sorry, I don't have it. I can, here's how to do this. And if you do that, you'll be successful. But, I can't wave a magic wand over you and pixie dust and shit. And, where you're going to be good to go. That's pretty weird. So what did we say? Did we get off of that about going out to the Comedy Store? About making that move?
we started and then we kind of went off because I was talking about I don't remember what I was talking about. Somehow we got to the NBA Finals.
Yeah, that's okay. I mean, that would seem to be the let's see what I got moment. Or,
My plan, I've had a lot of friends be like, this is it. I'm going to move. I'm moving to New York. Or I'm moving to LA.
Right.
And they move, and then they're back in 3 months.
Right.
And the reasoning is because they're just not ready yet. Mm-hmm. And my idea is I don't want to go out to LA or New York without being an established something so far. And I think Michigan's the best place to be to get a name for yourself because the Midwest is so kind of tight knit that like it's easy to get a following going there.
Yeah.
And it's easy to go, you're 2.5 hours from Chicago, Illinois, South Bend, Indiana, Cleveland, Ohio. Toledo, Ohio.
Yeah.
4 hours from Cleveland.
Yeah.
2 hours from Detroit, where I'm at. So, it's easy to get larger marketplaces, not large marketplaces, but larger marketplaces. Yeah. It's easy to develop a following. So once you have a following, my friend Dave Landau, who I don't know if you've ever heard of him. He's co-chair on the Anthony Camilla show with Dave Landau, and he was on Last Comic Standing. Okay. But he gave me a really good piece of advice, and it was just like, get popular before you move to one of these cities. And it's like when you go into LA and you've already got, 100,000 followers somewhere, then it's a lot easier to get into the Comedy Store or the Factory and stuff, as opposed to just being an open micer who's 2 years in trying to build a fan base in LA.
It's hard to get those followers. There's no rhyme or reason to it. It doesn't seem. Some knucklehead will get a million views overnight over something stupid, opening toys or whatever the case might be.
Unboxing videos. My daughter watches.
It's totally addicting to them.
Nothing makes me angrier. I don't know if you checked out my YouTube channel. I've got some pretty decent content on there.
Yeah.
Some pretty well done videos. Some funny content that I put a lot of thought into. And I think I have 100 subscribers on my YouTube channel. My daughter watches videos hours on end of just 8-year-old kids playing video games. Yeah. And those kids make $20 million a year off YouTube.
Right, with 2 million followers.
And that just makes me so fucking pissed.
I know, it's crazy. There is no rhyme or reason to it.
It's like the stuff that entertain kids. Like kids aren't going to watch my video about a Google Home speaker talking back to me. Like kids don't care about that. It's not funny to them.
Right.
But then adults aren't subscribing to YouTube channels. So it's like the money is in the younger market, but they don't. They want to watch things that they can do. Essentially, like they just want to watch kids their age doing things that they like to do.
Right.
And I remember I'm not against the idea of it because I compared it to like when you were a kid. And did you have did you ever have like a Nintendo or an Atari or anything like that, or a friend who had one?
No, I'm a little older than that.
Okay,
they didn't come out then. My kids did.
Okay, well, your kids they had friends that would come over and watch them play, or they would watch their friends play. And like I equate that the YouTube Let's Playing is the same thing. It's me going to my friend's house and us taking turns playing NBA Live or watching somebody play Grand Theft Auto. But now the kids are just doing it online. They're just watching kids who they don't know, which is a little weird, online playing these games. And it's like it's just part of this instant gratification culture that's making me into an older man every day, I guess.
Right. So I don't know. So what's the answer for a comic? I mean, you got to say something
engagement.
outrageous.
I think the answer is engagement with your fans.
Yeah.
So like if you look at my social media, I engage with my fans a lot.
That's important, I think.
Yeah, and I think that's what gives people they think that not that they think. I mean, in their mind, you're friends now. Like you talk to each other on Facebook.
Right.
Then they want to see you perform when you go places.
Right.
Then when you put your lineups up, they get hundreds of likes because everyone's like, "Oh, I can't wait till you're coming to my city and stuff." Right. I think that's how you do it. It's consistency. Like you have to be on it every single day.
Right.
Like it's a job. Social media is a job if you're in the entertainment business.
Right. As it should be, I think. I think it was. I'm pretty sure I'm right about this, but Dane Cook was on.
He was Dane Cook was the OG of fan engagement,
and he answered every single person.
He was on his personal MySpace because this is back when MySpace was the thing, when he got popular. And that's how he got popular, was MySpace. Like talking to every fan who messaged him.
Everybody.
And emailing everybody back. And that's how he became Dane Cook.
Made him a multi-zillionaire.
He was
until his brother took all his money.
Yeah. He was the OG of just how to use social media as a comedian.
You're exactly right.
And everybody's followed his and he gets a lot of shit nowadays for recycled material and joke theft and all the kind of stuff that he's been blamed for. Mm-hmm. But I mean, if you look at his first Comedy Central Presents special, that 30-minute special, I still think it's one of the best Comedy Central presents ever. Like, it's fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
It's the one where he talks about the Burger King and all that kind of
Yeah,
stuff.
his comedy's tight. Was always tight.
Yeah, well, his problem came with the fact that he was just doing the same jokes all the time.
Right.
Like, he released 3 specials that had like the same jokes on them.
Yeah.
And now the culture is very much like, if you have a new special, it's a new special.
Right. Everything else gets trashed.
Well, that's like
That's got to be hard, man. How do you do that?
Was it Louis C.K.? You know, he was turning out a special a year. He would do a special and then never do any of that material ever again.
Yeah.
And then he would just do a whole new hour.
I know.
And it's not easy. It's not easy to
can't
craft an hour.
imagine.
It took me 3 years to craft 45 minutes.
Right.
Like, and the 45 minutes I do now is slightly different than the one that I did when I first started doing comedy.
Right.
But a lot of the good jokes are still in there.
Right.
But like, I tweak and add some things and take things. But the idea of just writing a whole new hour every year is insane.
Right.
I mean, Bill Burr hasn't come out with a special in what, 3 years?
Yeah,
4 years?
I think.
Dave released 4 at once.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it sucks for Dane Cook because I do think he's funny.
Yeah, I
But I
think
mean,
so.
the fact that he's doing like Soaring Eagle Resort in the middle of Michigan is not great.
Weird.
I had a couple friends who went and saw Andrew Dice Clay at a casino a couple years ago. They said they
Yeah.
walked out after 10 minutes.
Really?
Yeah, they said it was
Oh,
really bad.
that's a shame.
Yeah,
I love Dice.
the Dice Man.
Oh man.
He's really good in. Have you seen A Star Is Born?
Yeah.
He's really good in that movie.
It took me, I don't know, 10 minutes or whatever. Like, oh shit, that's Dice.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I didn't know.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's like, shit, that's Dice, because it didn't look like him at all with his hair shaved and colored. And,
Yeah.
yeah. But he was really good in that.
That movie was way better. So, like I said, I have the podcast, and I wanted to do that movie on the podcast, and my partner Garrett was like against that movie. He's like, I don't like.
A lot of people were.
I think, well, it's the 4th version of that movie that's been made.
Yeah, yeah.
And so he's like, oh, it's going to be shit. And then it came out, and the reviews were just like raving about it.
Yeah.
So I'm like, dude, we got it. We have to do this movie for the podcast.
Right.
And he's just like, no. For weeks, he refused to do it. And then finally, we had a week where there was no new releases or anything coming out. So I'm like, we're seeing A Star Is Born. And he fucking loved it.
I know.
It's a great movie. It's a really good movie.
I almost felt odd watching it. Like, is anybody watching me watch this? You know, it's like.
I mean, if you think about it too, like in the scene when she wins the Grammy and
Yeah.
he's like hammered drunk at the Grammys,
Yeah.
that has got to be the most cringy thing I've ever seen on screen.
Yeah,
it is
man.
so uncomfortable, which is a testament to how good it is.
Yeah.
like it's so. I was in my chair just like, oh
Yeah.
god, like,
Yeah.
it was rough, man.
Right. Yeah. And you knew in the garage that he was never leaving the garage.
When he gave that dog that giant steak, I was like, he's killing himself. Spoiler alert, he
Yeah.
kills himself.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. If you haven't seen it by now, tough. He dies.
Yeah, he does. It's pretty poetic though.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, Sam Elliott's great in that movie. That scene when he's like driving away from his
Sam-
house,
he's my
got like some
favorite,
tears.
man.
I love that Bradley Cooper's just doing a Sam Elliott impression that whole movie.
Kinda.
Like he's got that gravelly.
Yeah.
What is it? Coors? Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Coors, the
Yeah.
banquet beer.
Sam Elliott's awesome.
He's got a great voice.
He's got a perfect voice.
Yeah.
He could act forever just with his voice.
That mustache too. That mustache can act for miles.
Yeah, man. What's the name of his Netflix show?
Oh,
They
The
Live on a
Ranch?
Farm. Yeah.
With Ashton Kutcher.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't watched since what's his name? The one guy got booted off for sexual harassment.
Danny Masterson.
Yeah, I haven't watched the new year since then, but somehow I got sucked into it.
I've never actually watched it.
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's got some social stuff in it. It's funny. It's pretty interesting. You just get sucked up into it.
I have to put it in the old queue.
Yeah. So every week, your podcast is movie reviews.
Yeah,
Am I putting that right?
Yeah, it's called This Better Be Good, and every week we review essentially the biggest release that comes out, and then we're working on doing a Patreon to do the smaller films.
Oh, good.
But so we review a movie before seeing it, and then we review it again after seeing it, and that's one episode. So the first half of the episode is essentially our impressions, what we think it's going to be like, what we're looking forward to, that kind of stuff, and then afterward we do a pretty deep dive into a spoiler-free version and then a spoiler-filled version of a review of the film.
Huh.
And we do pretty good. We got 5 stars on iTunes. We're both very knowledgeable,
Nice.
like really knowledgeable in film. It's funny how I came up with the concept for the show, and I was gonna do it like rotating comedians. It's like I was gonna have me on every week, but then I was gonna have a new comedian with me every week. But logistically, that's just hard to do. And my friend Garrett, we always saw movies together. And so one night we were coming out of a movie and we ran into one of his friends, and I forgot what movie we saw. But then his friend says, "Oh, what'd you guys see?" And we're like, "Oh, we saw this." And he says, "Oh, what'd you think?" And then we talked, Garrett and I, to each other for 20 minutes.
Right.
And that guy just stood there.
There's a podcast.
He just stood there listening to us. And then we get done talking about it. And then he says, "I'd pay money to listen to you guys talk about movies." And then we're like, "There's my partner."
Bang.
So now we have the podcast. We're on, I think, 60 episodes now.
That's how that stuff works, huh?
Yeah, it was very organic. Like,
Yeah.
I was kind of searching for a partner, and then that just kind of
Did you sign up for SoundCloud too?
We started off on
with
SoundCloud. We're on
Yeah.
Anchor now.
Anchor.
Yeah, we started off on SoundCloud, but SoundCloud's like, was it like $15 a month or something like that?
It is, yeah.
Anchor's free, and they upload your RSS to all the podcasting apps without you having to do anything. So like we got into iTunes. We couldn't get into Google Play on SoundCloud. They put us in Google Play, iTunes, Spotify. Like we're on every platform, and they do literally all the work. It's very.
Yeah.
Are you guys hosted on SoundCloud? Because I feel like I shouldn't be bragging about Anchor right now.
No, that's cool. Anchor?
Yeah, Anchor.com. I love it. We love it. They find sponsors for you too. Like you don't have to just like cold canvas
someone
sponsors.
else told me about this. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, so I think we have 3 sponsors, and
Nice.
they pay us. I think it's like, I don't know. It's like a cap at like $20 for each sponsor or something like that. But
Right.
but they do all the work. So is there like little peanut butter pods in here? Because you shake it around, and you can hear it moving around in there. These are really good though.
Yeah, aren't they? Yeah. That and a glass of root beer. It's pretty good.
We got these little pretzel squares filled with peanut butter. They're delicious.
Yeah, man. That's right. For those of you that are not watching, we have cashews and I was going to, if I hadn't have felt so lousy, I was going to stop by and get what's called Tony Luke's, which is like the Philadelphia cheesesteak.
I actually ate at Jim's Steaks before I came here.
Oh, that's good. That's a good place. That's a good place.
Yeah, I never had a cheesesteak. I did a comprehensive study of all the best cheesesteaks in Philly before I came here. And that was regularly at the top or towards the top of all the lists. So I picked that one.
Good. Tony Luke's good. We generally get our food from there and bring it in. But yeah, it's hard to go bad. There's so many great places to eat around here, man. It's
Yeah, we were
freakish.
walking down South Street, and there's just a ton
it's cool
of
there,
just.
man.
There was a cool vibe there.
Yeah.
There was just a ton of just like
Yeah.
restaurants, every kind of food you
Right.
can think of is down there.
Right. That area right there is what cities should be like or could be like.
Pittsburgh's
It would
kind of
be-
like that.
What's that?
Pittsburgh's kind of like that.
Is it?
Like those narrow streets with just shops and restaurants and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, LeBron kind of built that in Cleveland and then he left again, so it's they're struggling again with those things, but yeah, it's so weird that the whole economy of a major city or mid-major city can be controlled literally by an athlete.
Did you ever see that YouTube video? I think it's called the Cleveland tourism ad.
No.
It's like this spoof song about like tourism in Cleveland.
No.
And like one of the lines in it is our economy is based on LeBron James. But it's funny because the closing line of that song is Cleveland, at least we're not Detroit. Like that's the closing line of the song.
Oh, no way.
Yeah. Well, Ohio and Michigan have this huge rivalry because Ohio is literally the worst. It's just
There's some haters, man. Ohio State and the team up north. It's like,
It's weird, man. It's weird. Michiganders have such an irrational hatred for Ohioans, and it's totally irrational. There's no reason why we shouldn't like Ohio. I mean, they gave us Cedar Point, but but I don't know. Every time I drove through Ohio here, I think I drove about 4 hours through Ohio on the way
Probably,
here.
yeah.
And the whole time, I'm just like, oh, this place is terrible.
yeah, that's funny.
It's just boring. Like it's just flat.
It is boring.
There's
That
no
stretch,
trees. Like
there's nothing.
It's real annoying. Like I remember, like Pennsylvania is gorgeous to drive through. By the way, like just
and
trees, rolling mountains, tunnels. It's really
Right.
nice.
You look over the side and it's like, whoa.
Yeah.
Man, that's some beauty there.
Yeah, but Ohio is just farm.
Yeah, unless you go further south, it's cooler south down near West Virginia. And of course, the lake is pretty cool. It's almost like living in the ocean.
Yeah.
Almost.
Have you ever seen Lake Michigan?
Yeah.
Lake Michigan, people visit the Great Lakes and think it's an ocean.
Yeah.
Like they'll be like, oh, is that the Atlantic?
Well,
no.
Michigan's gigantic.
Yeah, well, Michigan. I feel like Lake Michigan's huge. Lake Superior is actually the largest of the Great Lakes.
Oh, is it?
It's also the deepest too.
Huh.
But that's like you got to go up to the UP to see that. But like it is, I grew up used to those Great Lakes and not realizing that lakes are generally smaller than that. Like, cause like when I see people like, I think I was in Minnesota and the land of 1,000 lakes,
right?
But all their lakes are small
Right.
compared to the Great Lakes,
Right?
People say, oh, like I'll be like, what is that? And they're like, oh, that's Lake blah blah blah. I'm like, that's a lake. Like,
Yeah, it looks like a puddle.
Oh yeah, that looks like a pond. Like I would call that a pond at best. But then I showed them like a Great Lake and I tell them how big it is. I'm like, oh, you cannot see Chicago from Michigan across Lake Michigan. And they're like, oh, that's not possible. I'm like, no, it's miles. Like it's miles and miles and miles of lake. It's huge.
So how do you how do you juggle being a dad and being a stand-up comic?
A lot of FaceTime. FaceTime and Snapchat have saved our relationship.
Yeah.
It's just a lot of making sure you're available when you have to be available.
How old is he or she? I'm sorry.
She's 8.
She.
Yeah.
Okay.
She was just in Grand Rapids. What day is today?
Tuesday.
She was just in Grand Rapids on Sunday for a cheer competition.
Cool.
She didn't place. She was pretty upset. But it's a lot of traveling. It's a lot of like I said, FaceTiming. It's a lot of making sure you keep up with things. She understands what I do. At first, it was hard for her because I don't think she quite grasped what I was doing with my life.
Right.
But now she's definitely way more okay with it.
Right.
Like she understands that I'm a comedian. She understands that I travel the country. She understands like why I'm gone. I think it was, like I said, it was harder when she was younger because she just didn't understand. Like I would come over there to visit or I'd come up north. I'd have her down with me. And then when it was time for me to leave, she was, well, why do you have to leave?
Yeah.
And it's like, it was hard for her to understand it. Yeah. Like it got to some points where I hated leaving because like she would just start crying. And it's like, she's like, when I see you again, it's like, oh, we'll see you in the next week. Well, how long is that? She has no concept of time. Like,
No, that's right.
Now it's very much like she went to leave my house yesterday and, or Monday.
Right.
Yesterday. She went to leave my house yesterday. And I was like, all right, we'll see you, I'll see you in 2 weeks. And she's like, all right, I'll see you in 2 weeks. I'm like,
yeah.
So it's fine. She's fine. She
Yeah,
gets it.
well, that's cool.
Although I think she does think that I'm more famous than I am, which is really annoying.
Yeah.
She'll just ask me
There's nothing wrong with that.
Well, she asked me the other day, she says, hey, Dad, can you get me to meet Cardi B? I was like, I don't know Cardi B. She's like, well, you can get her number. I'm like, I cannot get her number. Like, she just thinks I have all these celebrity friends. And I'm like, I'm not.
That's awesome.
It's not like that.
That's awesome.
The only time I ever impressed her was I did a show with TJ Miller. And I told her, I was like, guess who Dad did a show with? And she's like, who? And I was like, TJ Miller. And she's like, well, who's that? And I'm like, well, have you ever seen Big Hero 6? And she's like, yeah. And it's like, oh, well, he played blah, whoever he played in that show, or that movie. And she's like, really? And I'm like, yeah. Like, she cares for a second. Like, if she knows the person I'm working with, then it's impressive. But she's funny, though, so.
Is your stuff, would you consider yourself a clean comedian or dirty?
I can do clean comedy. Like I'm doing clean comedy at a club tomorrow night.
Right.
I did clean comedy at a art festival, a festival of the arts this past Saturday.
Right.
My comedy isn't like dirty.
Right.
Like I'm not talking about like dicks and pussy and stuff. Like I'm not talking about that stuff. I just swear when I talk.
Right.
So like all my comedy is easily done clean because I just have to just not swear.
Right.
Like none of my jokes depend on dirtiness to be funny.
Right.
I pride myself on that.
Yeah.
I like to think my comedy's pretty highbrow. Excuse me. I don't really have anything like toilet humor or anything like that. So
yeah,
my comedy translates pretty well in most rooms.
Right.
So
I think that'd be important. Right.
It is. I mean, clean comedy is like, it's a hot commodity. It's so rare to find a clean comic.
I would think so.
Yeah.
That's true, right?
Yeah. I mean, think about like all the big name clean comedians there are. Right. And there's Jim Gaffigan.
Right.
I forgot his name. The other guy.
The other guy.
Brian Regan.
Oh, yeah.
But I mean, those are like the big ones.
Yeah.
Everyone else is pretty dirty.
Yeah. Or a certain degree of dirty.
Yeah. I mean, I just think clean and dirty are just too like, they're so specific.
Yeah.
Because I mean, like, I could do clean comedy, but if I say like the N-word on stage, then it's considered dirty comedy.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, I mean, there's like a lot of there's this website called Gig Salad where like people can go on and just book comedians, magicians, entertainers to come do like corporate events or private parties and stuff.
Yeah.
And I get the wildest requests from people who like, my profile has, me, my headshot, it's got clips of my comedy, it's got links to all my social media. Like you can do your research and find out who I am before you even send me a request. And I still get requests that say things like, the room is, it's going to be about 45 people. They're all 70 and up, conservative, do not talk about homosexuality, race, or women. And it's like, why did you send me a message? Like, what are you doing? Did you not do any research before you like sent me an email?
What?
So yeah, like dirty and clean is too vague. People are specific about what they don't want to hear. Like it's mostly like liberal people are always there like everything's fine unless you disagree with us. But like
Right.
But like conservatives are usually the ones who have a lot of guidelines. Like they'll be like, well, you can't say this, you can't say this, you can't say this, you can't say that.
Right.
And then it's like, well, what can I say? It's like, well, can I talk about like growing up as a black person in America?
Right.
Well, I don't know. It's like, well, you probably shouldn't have hired me. Like, it's like, what else are we going to talk about? It's like people are weird. It's like it's not distinct with what clean and dirty is anymore.
Yeah.
Because I mean, like I said, I can go up on stage and not say fuck or dick or pussy or shit,
Right.
but I could talk about stuff that makes people uncomfortable still.
Right.
And then is it still clean comedy?
Right.
Like it's
I don't know.
Anyway.
Is it or I don't know.
I don't know. It depends. If I piss somebody off, they might not think it's
Yeah.
well. He was talking about wiping his butt. I didn't like that.
Right.
Like you never know. Like people
Right.
are just weird. You never know who you're going to trigger every now and then.
Yeah, well, for me personally, I like storytellers better than just joke tellers.
Yeah.
Joke, punchline, tag, bang, on to the next one. I like storytellers, man. And the only way to tell stories is from real stuff in your past. And,
Yeah.
you
Well, I mean, I'm a
gotta
storytelling comedian, but I think that a joke telling comedian, I think that's harder than storytelling.
oh, I would think.
I mean, to be able to craft jokes for 45 minutes, like that's a lot of work.
I don't see how that's possible.
I mean, well, Mitch Hedberg, man. Mitch Hedberg
Yeah.
was like literally just boom, 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 boom for an
Right.
hour.
Right.
And like I watched that, and I'm like, I tell a story, and like one of my stories is like 8 minutes long.
Right.
So it's like it's pretty. I'm not saying it's easy to write comedy, but I mean it's a lot easier to tell a story than it is to tell 8 minutes worth of jokes.
Right, exactly.
And
right.
have them all be good jokes.
Right, yeah.
So I have utmost respect for people who do that. Personally, I think I like both kinds of comedy. I think I prefer storytelling.
Yeah.
But I mean, I respect the hell out of anybody who can go up on stage and just tell
Yeah.
jokes for that long because
Yeah.
I can't.
Yeah, I like one of my favorite bits is
The Machine, Burt
The
Kreischer.
Machine,
Yeah,
man.
it's a good one.
it's just I've watched it 10 times, and every time it's still always a little bit different, but I just laugh my ass off every time.
Well, Bert's a great
'Cause
storyteller
it's
too.
true.
Yeah, and that story's just so crazy. Like
Yeah.
it's so nuts. You're like, there's no way this is made up. There's no way.
Right. Well, the first time I heard it, I go, "Oh, well, that's all bullshit." But it turned out it's all true.
Yeah, it's a crazy story. I mean, that story made his career. Like, I mean, granted, he was already doing very well before this story came out. But I mean, like, that's the one that launched him into the mainstream. Like, that story is great. Although,
Right.
I mean, he had that Travel Channel show before that story came out,
Yeah,
which
man.
I always forget about that.
Millions of bucks. The guy was bringing in heavy loot before
Yeah.
he got fired from that.
Yeah, he does this great thing at the end of every set where he puts his hat around and has people put money in it in the crowd, and then gives that money to a random server at the club.
No way.
Yeah,
That's all. That's very cool.
yeah, he's a nice dude.
Huh. That's very cool. And he's had to make some bar owners near the club pretty happy when he brings in 500 people or whatever after one of his shows.
Oh, he's a big draw. Yeah, and he drinks. Yeah,
yeah. Yeah, he drinks a lot, man.
yeah, he's a big dude.
Looks like his body's going to explode pretty soon, which would suck because he's pretty cool.
Yeah, he's a funny guy.
I like all those guys, though, man. I really do. I'm like a total fan of this Segura and all of them. I watch their podcasts. I'm a total freak with that stuff anymore. Really
ever
got
seen-
into comedy.
Segura's character he does on morning talk shows. I think it's like Drip Daddy Dollars or something like that.
With the cigar? That
No,
bit?
no, or he'll go on to like morning talk shows and he'll pretend to be a DJ instead of like himself.
No, I haven't seen this.
So like when comics are headlining a comedy club, they always have to do like local media,
Right.
Like that day of,
Right.
And or the day before the show. And he will, because it's boring. Like it's the same questions all the time.
Right.
Like, you hear them all the time. So you
Right.
want to. these bigger names who are doing this every weekend. Like they need to entertain themselves essentially. So Tom Segura has come up with this alter ego called Drip Daddy Dollars, and he goes on with like a big fur coat, big sunglasses, hat on, gold chains, and he refused to talk about the comedy show, and he'll only talk about the DJ set he's doing after the show. And it's hilarious because like the people are never in on it. The reporters don't know what's going on, and then he just gets to troll everybody, and it's really funny.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah,
that he can do that.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's Tom Segura. Like,
right. Yeah.
What's the club going to do? Not let him come back?
Right. Hey,
he's such a huge draw.
Yeah. Don't say that anymore. Yeah. Okay. See ya. I think he's coming to Atlantic City.
How close is Atlantic City to here?
It's hour and 20 minutes.
That's not bad.
No. Just straight shot down 95 to 95 south, and then catch the Walt Whitman Bridge across.
Yeah, somebody downtown was talking about going to Atlantic City. I was like, oh, I forgot we're that close to Atlantic City.
Yeah, it's a bit, like an hour and 20 minutes.
Is it fun? You been?
Oh yeah, all the time. Yeah. I only live. My home's I'm exit 12 to the ocean, so I'm 12 miles from the beach.
Oh,
is where I live.
The freeway just ends at the ocean.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, pretty much.
That's a good place to end it, I guess.
Yeah. Like, oh, okay, no more road.
I guess I can't go anywhere.
No more exits.
There's a road on I-75 on the east side of Michigan. It's exit 69, and the name of the road is Big Beaver. It's like a real thing that somebody just let happen.
Big Beaver
Road, exit 69.
Good. And no one thought that through.
I mean, maybe beaver wasn't a euphemism for vagina at the time when they designed the road. Although freeways were all built in like the 50s and 60s, right?
So pretty much.
You would think the term was around then.
Pretty much. Michigan was weird, man, to go. I tell you, where I was, up in Midland up there, it was freaking cold. And I mean, I was cold because I grew up in Ohio.
Yeah.
And the east side of Cleveland. And it was pretty cold there, but that Michigan cold was a whole different deal, man.
Yeah, it's a different animal.
It was a wet cold or something. It was like brutal.
We just got out of winter like a month ago.
Yeah, right?
We had a long winter this year.
Yeah.
Like it's just, and we don't have spring anymore.
Yeah.
Like it literally just goes from winter to summer now.
Yeah. My daughters, two of my daughters still live in Ohio. One's in Columbus and the other one's in North Canton, or in Akron rather. She just bought a house, which is pretty cool. And it'd be like, Dad, it's snowing today. I said, what are you talking about? It's snowing today, man. I just planted like 100 flowers. What are you talking about? It's snowing today. Yeah, Dad.
We had snow all the way up until, this is June now? All the way up to the beginning of May, like late April, we had snow until.
That's crazy. That's 6 months of
We had
snow.
one day, we had 1 week where it was, we got snow, and then it was 70 the next day, and then it snowed for 3 days straight. Yeah. And then it was like, spring weather for like 3 days, and then it was just
climate
summer.
change? Is this...
I don't know. I mean, it's hard. It's hard to argue against it when I remember growing up and having 4 distinct seasons, and now we have 2 pretty much. Yeah. Like it's pretty much we get winter for probably from October until April now, and then from April 30th to May 3rd we get spring, and then it becomes summer, and then winter likes to poke its head around again, and then we get summer, and then fall for about a month, and then back to winter.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true, I guess. I can remember when my oldest son was probably, how old was he? 7 or 8 years old. We were going to go to downtown Cleveland, and the NFL draft was that day, and we were going to go see the Indians play a game. Mm-hmm. Big snowstorm, so the Indians got to Cleveland.
In April?
Yeah, in April.
Yeah.
Okay? So it snowed, because my birthday's in October. It snowed on my birthday, October 28th, and it snowed in April of the following year. It's like, that's 6 months. That's insane. That would make people angry.
Well, I think, you know what it does in Michigan? Summer is pretty magical in Michigan, and I think it's because we get 2 months of it. And so, like, the second it gets warm, it's like, boats are out, shorts are on. And by warm, I mean 60 degrees. Like, boats are out, shorts are on. Like, I remember I went down to Houston around Christmas time 2 years ago or something like that. Yeah. And I think it was like 65 degrees. So I was like, shorts, tank top. And then like everyone in Houston was wearing coats and stuff. And they're just like, you're not from around here, are you? Like, nope, this is warm as hell. It's weird. Like we're just used to. Like, we love summer so much because we get so little of it. And like the second the sun comes out, we're like. And I mean, I know a lot of friends who have like seasonal depression because we just get such little sunlight for most of the year.
Right.
Like, there's 6 months of just snow and clouds.
Right.
And so it's a lot of like people being irritated. So the second warm weather comes around, the whole state is just a different vibe. Like it's just everybody's more relaxed, everybody's happier.
Yeah.
We get to, enjoy our beaches. We've got nice beaches in Michigan.
Right.
I think people don't understand like how much coastline there is. Like
Yeah.
it's a peninsula. Most of it is coastline.
Right, yeah.
And
you
then
get
all
up to Traverse City and that
Yeah.
area. That's beautiful up there. But
Yeah.
like there is nothing there.
No, it's just drinking. That's all there is up there.
Right? That's all they do.
That's all it is. It's drinking and
Yeah.
boating in the summer and drinking and snowboarding in the winter.
Yes, that makes sense. That'd be a good tourism pitch.
Traverse City, it's just drinking.
Drinking and boning. What? So this is. I didn't know about your podcast, which is really interesting. That's very cool. I got to hook up to that. Or did I? No, I did not. But I'm going to. Podcasting is so important. I think.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's kind of the new form of journalism, kind of like. I mean, with the fact that print's dead, people need to get their entertainment from something aside from, people don't listen to the radio that much anymore, and I think it's kind of a revolutionary thing. It's essentially like reading a book while you're in a car or while you're at work or while you're doing some downtime. And
Right.
when it's somebody who's talking about something they're passionate about, something they're knowledgeable in, it's very entertaining to listen to.
Yeah.
Granted, there's thousands of podcasts, and it's very easy to get just overwhelmed by all of them.
550,000.
Is there really? Jeez, that's a lot.
Here's one for you. That's a lot. However, there are 2 million new books published every single year.
2 million?
2 million published.
What are they about?
Who's going to read 2
That's
million
a lot
books?
of books, man.
Right? It's like you got a better shot at getting to somebody through a podcast than you do one of those 2 million books.
You know, the only thing that's got to be more produced than those two things? Porn.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Like,
But by a zillion.
Porn's got to be like 2 million a month.
Yeah, at least.
I feel like porn is the one thing that you could watch nonstop for every day from birth until death and never watch it all.
Oh yeah, that's
Like,
true.
There's just so much.
That's true.
It's just weird how much media you can consume, and there's just always more of it. Like it never runs out. Music, books, podcasts, movies.
Yeah.
Like, you can just constantly find things.
All to get our data. All to get our data, man.
Yeah.
That's what they want. So the movies, favorite movie? What's your favorite movie? You got to go by genre, I guess, because there's so many. But
I'll say my top 3 favorite movies.
yeah, let's hear them.
Drive, starring Ryan Gosling.
Yep.
Directed by Nicholas Winding Refn.
Yeah.
Very good movie.
Gosling he's a pretty good actor.
He's
in
great.
most of his
I
stuff.
love Ryan Gosling, yeah. Training Day, Denzel Washington, Ethan Hawke, directed by Antoine Fuqua.
I'm King Kong up in this place.
Dude, that movie, I watched, my mom spoiled that movie for me. I was living with my parents when that movie came out. I think it was 2002 when that movie came out. So I was I was in high school. And it was back when I had to wait till stuff came on HBO, Saturday night HBO, to watch it. And I missed it, so I had to wait for the Tuesday replay, because Tuesday nights, Saturdays at 9, they
Gotcha,
premiere
right.
it. Tuesdays at 8, they do the replay. And so I'd missed it. So we went to Sunday dinner at my grandparents' house, and apparently my mom had watched it. And spoiler alert,
Come
she
on,
says
Mom.
to me, "Hey, did you watch that Denzel Washington movie?"
Oh, come on,
And I
Mom.
said, "No, I haven't had a chance to yet." She's like, "Oh, it's really good. It's really good." Yeah, it's terrible that he dies at the end. And I'm like, "Oh, what are you
Mom.
doing?"
Come on,
That was the
Mom.
first time I heard something spoiled for me.
That sucks.
Yeah, it did suck.
Yeah, but you kind of knew it was going to go that way anyway. But
Yeah, okay, all right.
that was a great movie, man.
I love Denzel Washington has some of the best mannerisms.
Oh,
like
he
he's
does.
always like every time he's mad at somebody.
my man. That's what he's.
Hey, huh? That's like his go-to move. Is just
Every single one of his movies. I think this is Google. You can Google this, but he says "my man" in every single movie once.
he always says that, and he
My
says,
man.
"All right." That's what he says.
Yeah.
Huh? Okay. All right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
He seems like, although who knows, these guys could all be aliens and robots, so who knows, but he seems like a legit, decent human being.
There's 3 of them in Hollywood. I'm sticking by this theory. There's 3 perfectly decent human beings in Hollywood, and they are Denzel Washington, Tom Hanks, and Keanu Reeves. Those 3 people, you will never ever hear something bad said about them.
Gosh, man, I don't disagree with you at all on those 3.
They're like the nice people in Hollywood.
Right.
Like
yeah. No
it's
one
like
says bad shit about them.
It's like a joke how nice Keanu Reeves is. Like it's like a
Right.
running joke online that he's like the nicest person in history.
Right, he
of
does
Hollywood.
all kind of random stuff for complete strangers.
Dude, he
like,
donates
all
money
the time.
anonymously to children's hospitals all the time. Like he's just a great dude, apparently. And I think it's because he grew up super poor,
Yeah.
and so he's like humble, which is not something you find in a lot of entertainers.
Yeah, the Bible said, "Don't let the left hand know what the right hand's doing." You know, it's real easy to write a check and say, "Hey, I just wrote a check."
Yeah.
You know, it's like, what's that do? Other than
Or it's like those people who do a really good deed and then immediately post about it on social media.
exactly, I hate that stuff.
Like you're doing it for clicks. You're not even doing it for the good deed. You're just doing it for clicks.
Hate it. I hate it. It's real. That's really bad in the automotive industry. On Facebook, it is rampant.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, and they're long stories with pictures, and this guy was at a gas station and didn't have any money, and blah blah blah. And I talked to about his life, and he just lost his wife, and these long,
Yeah.
epilogues to how great I am. It just sucks, man.
Yeah. It's not a good look.
Yeah. So you were gonna go. So you went training day.
Oh yeah. So yeah, Drive, Training Day, and then Baby Driver, starring Kevin Spacey, Jamie Foxx, and what's the name of
that movie
the kid?
about, man?
It's directed by Edgar Wright. It's about a 17-year-old getaway driver. And essentially, the whole movie is set to a soundtrack, and like the choreography and action in the film coincides with the music that's playing.
Wow,
So like,
I've
if there's
never heard of that,
dude, it is so good.
Baby Driver.
Yeah, yeah. Like I try to explain how the choreography works. Like, so like, say if there's a shootout going on,
Yeah.
like the sounds of the bullets coming out of the gun,
Yeah.
sync up with the music that's playing in the background.
Oh,
like the
awesome.
whole movie is done like that.
Oh, that's
it's
cool.
so good. But yeah, I mean that movie, Drive from like a visually cinematic artistic standpoint, Training Day from a story standpoint, and Baby Driver from a technical standpoint. Like those, I think that's why those are my 3 favorite films.
Yeah.
But I mean, if I were to sit, I could watch those movies
Yeah.
on repeat forever.
Yeah. I have a few of those too. I just watch them over and over again.
They're good, man. Movies are great. It's a great medium.
Yeah.
It's great escapism.
Yeah, it's totally get lost in a good movie.
Yeah.
You get lost in crap sometimes, but depending on where your head's
I was
at.
watching in the hotel earlier today. I was watching Hidden America on like Travel Channel. It's like this conspiracy guy who's
sweet.
like trying to talk about how he's talking about how the Templars had a home base in America, and you can see there's hints everywhere because the Templars are like the number 13 is really significant to them, and they were just like, well, look at a $1 bill. Look in the back of the $1 bill. He says, look at the pyramid. The pyramid. How many stacks on that pyramid? 13 stacks. Look at the American flag. How many stars and stripes on there? 13. It's like, well, that's because there's 13 colonies.
Right. The
And
Illuminati.
That's the only reason. It was just, I'm like, somebody's paying this guy to say these things on camera. And like the whole thing was just him just digging for the like lowest hanging fruit of like how a conspiracy. Christopher Columbus, his hand was like, there's a picture of Christopher Columbus and his hand is like this.
Right.
And like, oh, it's shaped like an M for Freemason.
Oh no.
I'm like, dude, you're reaching, man. I watched that for an
that's a
hour.
reach.
I love shit like that,
Yeah,
man.
and probably a zillion other people watched it.
But they were probably like, yeah, this makes total sense.
No, this is the thing that aggravates me is like you put out good content. You just figure it's always been content. Put out good content and they will come. Fill the dreams. Build it and they'll come, right?
Yeah.
It's aggravating, man. It's just
Well, here's the problem.
aggravating.
If Field of Dreams was set today, 2019,
Yeah.
here's how. Let's use Field of Dreams as an example for the internet.
Okay.
Field of Dreams came out in what, 93, something like that?
Probably.
So if Field of Dreams, Kevin Costner builds a baseball diamond in the middle of a cornfield. It's the only baseball diamond in this cornfield.
Right.
So obviously, people are drawn to it because it's the only baseball diamond there.
Right.
If this were 2019 internet, Kevin Costner would build that field. It's a perfect field. It's an amazing field. It's a great field. It's the greatest field. It's the greatest field. But it's like the best field ever built. But
Right.
you've now got 200 shitty fields. They're all built around the Field of Dreams. And in order to get to the Field of Dreams, you got to go through, but this one's got like discounted tacos. I'm going to go there. And then you go to this
Really?
one. Oh, this one's got discounted beer. I'm going to go there.
This is for real.
I mean, that's the equivalent of like what the internet is now. Like back in the day,
gotcha.
there was such little content that the content that being produced was good,
I gotcha.
but it was easier to get to. Now you just got to go through, you got to wade through so much crap to get to the good content that whatever is the most eye-catching is what's going to be clicked on first. That's why thumbnails are such a huge deal on YouTube. Like if you have a good thumbnail, and I fall victim to it, I'll go through YouTube and I'll click on something just because the thumbnail looks good. And I'll be like, oh, that looks funny. Let's do that. Let's read that. Let's watch that. Let's watch that. So I mean, if you could put a quality video up, a video that took you a year to make, and it's like the funniest, most well-produced short ever. But if your thumbnail sucks or your title sucks, nobody's gonna click on it. No one's gonna watch it.
It's true.
Yeah,
It's true.
it sucks, man. But I mean, that's the world we live in now. Like,
Right. In your promo video, I put a whole bunch. I put Joe Rogan's name, everything in the tags, like a bunch of comedians. Put all their names in there.
smart.
Yeah.
I mean, it's you got to trick that algorithm.
Right.
I mean, I
Which is
found-
possible to do.
I mean, I found that even like the times you post things are important. Like you're supposed to post to Facebook during the week between the hours of 8 a.m. and 3 p.m. Like that's when you get the most traction. And the reasoning makes sense. 8 a.m. is when everybody's woken up, they grab their phone.
Right.
They check it, it's the first thing they see. 3 p.m. is usually around lunch break or someone's getting off a shift.
Yep.
First thing they do, grab their phone and look at it.
Yep.
So it makes sense.
Yep.
But it's like, I should be able to just put something up whenever I want to. Like that's
Right.
what Twitter is. Twitter is like
Right.
it's stream of consciousness. Whenever you
it's
want to put something up, you put
Constant
it up.
chatter.
Yeah, but Facebook is like Facebook and Reddit are both just like you have to do it these days. Instagram's the same way.
Right. Well, podcasting, supposedly you don't want to do it on a Friday.
Yeah,
You don't want the content going out on a Friday, which is
because
interesting.
no one's going to stay in the house and listen to
Correct.
podcasts on the weekends.
Exactly right.
Yeah, ours goes out Thursday mornings. Is
Yeah,
when
good.
ours gets put out there.
I got to listen to you guys, man. Just text me the name of that or something.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
we'll do it right now before I forget.
Okay, cool. Appreciate that. Yeah, because I want to listen to you guys, and I'll share the love out there. Who knows, man? Somebody might watch this goofy thing, and who knows? That'd be cool if you got huge from being on this stupid podcast.
That would be pretty nice.
Yeah, man. It'd be worth the 11-hour trip.
It wasn't that bad of a drive. Oh well, it wasn't.
11
I'm
hours
kidding.
is
It was actually a
brutal.
terrible drive because it rained the entire time. Today will be nice. It's like nice and rainy. I have to be back because tomorrow I got a show tomorrow night. Well, I got to do the podcast tomorrow, and then I have a show tomorrow night. But
What time is it?
I don't know. I think 3:45.
3:44.
But yeah, today's supposed to be sunny the whole rest of the day, so today's gonna be a cake drive.
What time are you gonna get home, dude?
Probably like 5 a.m.
All righty then.
And I'll get home. I'll go to the gym, work out, take a little nappy nap, go to the movies,
Yeah.
do the podcast, go home.
You need to get rich here pretty soon.
I need to start flying places. This is what I need to do.
Yeah.
I need to get that kind of money.
Right,
Or I need to
exactly.
get, I've got so many comedian friends who are like, I've got friends on every level of comedy. You know what I mean? I've got guys who have been on, Late Night with Conan O'Brien. I've got open micers who I've known who have been doing comedy for a week. And it's like the upper echelon guys who are like just above me who like, they have a label that they work for and the label pays for the travel and they pay for their flights. And I'm just like, I'm so close. Like, I just want to
Yeah.
be there. I just
Right.
want to be able to fly to places instead of
Right.
having to drive all the time.
There's several ingredients, and we've touched on them a little bit. What's the main ingredient in making that leap from where you are and what you just expressed? What is there one thing that's like, okay, if I could make this happen, then I'm there.
It's impressing some sort of agency, like an agency that has like Comedy Dynamics is a big one. Like they book a lot of like higher end talent. But I mean, like once you get that connection, that in,
Right.
then they do all the work for you.
Where are they in L.A.?
I think they're based out of LA,
Yeah.
yeah. Because I've got a couple of friends who've released albums off Comedy Dynamics, and they travel the country on their dime, essentially. And they're just like one of like many companies like that who like represent talent like that. And it's just getting involved with them. That's all it is. It's getting them, just getting in front of them, and them seeing that you're funny and you're viable, and you can fill up a club,
Right.
or satisfy a club owner to be a good comedian, and then that stuff just kind of all falls into place. But it's just getting there. I mean, Kevin Hart, everyone considers Kevin Hart an overnight success. That guy was doing comedy for 30 years before he became a huge hit. I think Bo Burnham is the only comedian I've ever seen who was a literal overnight success, and that was because of YouTube. But I mean, everyone else. Tom Segura's been doing comedy for 25 years. Burt Kreischer's been doing comedy for 20 years.
All these guys, it blows my mind.
Yeah, but you never heard of them until 5 years ago. But they've been doing it forever.
You're exactly right.
Yeah.
It blows my mind when these guys talk about the old days. And it's like, well, okay, what's the old days? 10 years ago? No, it's 25, 30 years ago.
Yeah.
Joey Diaz, like, he's just, I cringe when I listen to him, but he's just, I can't, it's such a guilty pleasure. I can't stop
He is
laughing,
the most
man.
vulgar comedian.
It's not even close. I mean, there's not even, there's like him and then like, Girl Scouts. There's like, it's like, he's just horrible.
He's out there.
Oh, cocksuckers. He's just.
I was talking to, I did a show with Jimmy J.J. Walker a couple of years ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's the angriest man.
Really?
Yeah, he's not in a happy place. But he was, I hate talking to older comics about the good old days.
Yeah.
Because they really were the good old days.
Right.
Like he's talking to me about man, in the 80s, there was like 30 comedians in the whole country.
Right.
And we go do an open mic. I'm talking 15 minutes. They'd pay us $5,000. They'd put us in a mansion.
Yeah.
They'd have cocaine and hookers. And I'm just like, dude.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you know how much I'm getting paid for this show? Not that much.
Yeah. Yeah, a little less than that.
And it's like, but then it sucks too because I'm on this show with him, and it's like I'm getting paid. It was a New Year's Eve show, so I'm getting paid like $500 for 2 shows, and he's getting paid probably I don't know how much, probably like $1,500 or something like that.
Right.
But it's like he's getting paid $1,500 to do 2 shows in one night in the middle of Michigan on New Year's Eve, and it's like he was Jimmy J.J. Walker. And at that point in my career, I was pretty new. This is my first New Year's Eve double show kind of thing.
Yeah, that's
so
sad.
me. I'm like, whoa, yeah, fuck yeah, this is great. But Jimmy J.J. Walker's like, I'm Jimmy fucking J.J. Walker. It's like I got 13 Emmy nominations.
Wow, that's right, man.
Dude, he was huge. He was huge.
He was huge.
And then it's like I remember he has a whole bit where he just talks shit about Archie Bunker. Because he just hates Archie Bunker. Because every time he was nominated for an Emmy, he'd lose to Archie Bunker.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's never won one.
That's
So he's got
funny.
this whole bit where he's just like, it's like every time I get nominated for an Emmy, I lose to motherfucking Archie Bunker. He's just so mad about it.
That's funny.
It was weird. It's funny because the show, we're supposed to do a clean show,
Right.
which his show is clean, but he is not. And I remember meeting him, also being told specifically I was not allowed to say dynamite to him.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure.
But I remember we were sitting in the green room, which was the bar, before the show, and he wouldn't talk to anybody, like any of the fans or anything. Like he doesn't talk to talent. Don't talk to people until after the show. That's what he kept saying. Like somebody would walk up to him and they'd be like, "Hey, what's the rest of the cast of Good Times up to?" I don't know. Google it. Like he was just so angry.
He's probably better off not talking to anybody before the show.
Oh man, he's just a bitter man, dude. I mean, I guess.
How old a guy is he? He's got
late
to be
60s, maybe early 70s.
Yeah,
something like
I'm
that.
67. He's got to be at least that old.
He's older. That's for sure. Like
Yeah.
he was a little haggardy looking, but
Yeah, that sucks. It sucks that he's still pounding it out on the road. He must have screwed up somewhere.
what else does he know how to do?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, but he must have screwed it up somewhere because there's easier ways to do it.
Here we go. Jimmy J.J. Walker is. Oh, jeez. Should have just asked how. Okay, 1947. That makes him 71.
Yeah. Interesting. Too bad. Generally, my son Joe brings in, we have Google Home, and we put in here and
Oh, yeah.
ask Google.
I got 2 of those in my house. It always freaks me out when I'm on the road. And I always forget that I'll just be like, hey, Google. Like, oh, there's no. Sorry to anybody whose Google I just set off.
It's funny you say that. I'm sitting here with a guy by the name of David Johnson. He works for a huge ad agency in New York City. And we said, hey, Google, play Thunder Road by Springsteen. And his started playing it, his at home, and other people started playing it as well. Called him. He said, dude, the minute you guys said that thing went off. I said, how? I thought it had to be by your voice command or something, but I guess not.
There's whenever Google commercials come on my TV, I gotta mute it because like they'll set off all my Googles in my house.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It's funny. I have a video on my YouTube channel of me getting in an argument with my Google Home. And when I uploaded it, people were like messaging me saying, like, you set off my Google like a bunch. I can't watch this video. I was like, my bad.
That's funny stuff, man.
Sensitive. I mean, it's good for the Google like, that it can pick up on it, but
Yeah.
it's bad for your home.
Yeah, yeah. So if you could pick out of all the major sports in Michigan, and please don't say the Wolverines, just please. My son will be so upset with you. Who's your favorite sports team?
Detroit Pistons.
The Pistons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love basketball. So, I mean, like,
Yeah,
it goes hand in hand. Also, yeah, it's mainly just because I love basketball. It's the one sport I follow, like, pretty religiously.
Yeah.
Football is just, I didn't watch any Lions games this year. First time in, like,
Not
in
one.
my adult, not one. I felt so much better on Sundays.
It's amazing how much more time you got, man.
Well, not just that, too. It was just stressful. Like, every year, watching them lose and just getting angry about dumb shit.
No, they're going to lose.
Yeah, and then it was every Sunday night on Facebook. It was always the same stuff. Everyone just bitching about Lions games. So I felt great not watching the Lions. I've never been a hockey fan, so I'm not a big Wings fan. And I'm not really into college sports. So NBA is my thing.
NBA is a beautiful. It's almost an art form, man. What
Those
these men
those
can
athletes,
do is,
man. They're, I think soccer players, I feel like, are the only players that are better conditioned than
yeah.
NBA players.
Yeah, I would think you're right. They're ridiculous.
I mean, they're just the fact that, so I grew up playing basketball. I love basketball, and you've played pickup basketball.
Yeah.
When you play pickup basketball, and somebody gets on the court and they're like 6'5", 6'6". My immediate thought is, oh, well, they're just going to play in the post whole game. Right. They've got no handles. They got
Right.
no jump shot.
Right.
In the NBA, that's the average height of somebody who's got handles and a jump shot.
That's right. He's a two guard for sure.
And it's nuts that you can be that size and still be that athletic.
Yeah.
Like football is very much like, yeah, anybody can get beefy
Yeah.
and then throws their bodies around and stuff. And I'm not saying anybody can play in the NFL, but I'm just saying a roster in NFL is 52 players. Roster in NBA is 13. There's 360 players in the entire league, and there's 360 players between 4 teams in NFL. The odds of getting the NBA are a lot slimmer than any other sport. Baseball teams got, 20 men in the rosters?
Yeah,
So
25.
so I mean, like, it's harder to get in the NBA.
Yeah.
It's more taxing. NBA careers last, I think football players probably have shorter careers than NBA players.
Probably.
But, like, there's not that many elite NBA players. Like, there's a lot of really good NBA players.
Right.
There's a couple of ones that are, like,
Right.
head and shoulders above everybody else.
Right.
But, I mean, I go to watch G League games in Grand Rapids, and even those players, I'm just like, ugh.
Yeah.
These guys are impressive.
Right. They
And
are.
and
And they're just this shy of being great.
And it's like these are all still 6'5" guys, but they're not, and they're this good, and they're not even in the NBA. I just think there's just a different level of skill to be an NBA player than in any other sport.
Yeah, and when you think about it, you only got 15 people per team,
Mm-hmm.
and the collective bargaining agreement is like crazy, man. I mean, the players get most of the money.
Yeah,
You know, I mean, everybody's making a shit ton of money.
I think minimum wage in the NBA is $550,000 a season.
Yeah, is it?
Yeah, which is a lot for minimum wage.
Yeah, that ain't horrible.
But then also, I cannot think of a league that is better managed than the NBA. I mean, I think we've got the best
agree.
GM of all sports. He's transparent. He's adaptive to the way the game has changed.
Yep.
He listens to his players. The players' union has a huge voice in the league, as
Yep.
opposed to like the NFL. NFL is just the worst example of how to manage a league, I think.
Seems
Except for
like
maybe
it.
FIFA. But like,
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
you've got
FIFA
these.
take the cake.
FIFA's
I think.
pretty corrupt, but
Yeah,
like,
right.
But I mean, the NFL is just like Roger Goodell calls all the shots. Doesn't matter what the players think. They try to hide players' anonymity. Like, they just now let you do end zone celebrations this season. You take your helmet off, you get fined. You say anything disparaging about anybody, you get fined. You take a knee, you get fined. Like, it's all this. You can't be an individual in that league. Whereas the NBA, they encourage individuality.
Right.
Like, they're like, hey, you got something you want to say? Say it.
It's a players' league.
Yeah, like
Right?
the players have so much control. Like LeBron James single-handedly changed the way free agency works.
Correct.
Like they changed free agency because of the way he was doing it. When he was signing all those short one-year deals, and it was just because he knew the bargaining agreement was going to re-up in like 3 seasons, and so he wanted to give himself leverage. No other sport's going to do that.
Nope.
And then like the fact that they change rules so often, they try to change. They realized the game was getting more up tempo, so they adjusted the rules to compensate for that.
Right.
Sports aren't doing that. I think I respect the NBA so much because of the way they listen to the players and the fans.
Yeah, I would agree. They really are in tune with the attendees and their fans. What blows my mind in baseball, the technology exists that is perfect. It's flawless, absolutely flawless. They've tested it over and over and over in real games, where the technology, the camera gets the strike zone, and it's right 100% of the time. And the last study I saw, I think that the ump was the live umpire, who was also behind the plate, was correct just short of 80% of the time. But within that 20%, that's a huge gap, man.
Yeah.
You know, that could be could decide a lot of things, but not using that technology that's available is mind blowing to me.
Yeah, well, baseball is one of those things where they're just like, it's so traditional. They don't want to mess up stuff, and it's like they want the games to last 4 fucking hours.
Yeah,
It's like, this is America's sport. It's like, it hasn't been America's sport in a long time.
I know, it sucks, and I love baseball. I mean, I really do. I've been to Cooperstown several times. I have 200,000 baseball cards.
Really?
Yeah. Yep.
Wow.
In the man cave.
That's a lot.
It is a lot. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. It's pretty crazy. And that's after one of my ex-wives grabbed a whole shitload of them during one of the divorces. So she got me pretty good.
Trying to make some money, huh?
I guess. Just to piss me off, I think, more than anything else, frankly. Yeah. So, but the NBA is just eons above everything else. Everything else.
I agree.
You know, well, it's because the country's so football crazy. Football is still number one.
Yeah.
No matter how badly Goodell or these people try to screw it up, and they really try to screw it up.
Yeah.
And evidently they can't. It's impossible.
It's too big. It's too big to fail. I mean, it doesn't help when ESPN is pretty much your personal sports service. Like, how the hell? NFL is the only thing that constantly has programming on year round. NFL Live happens every week, whether it's a season or not. You've got, the second the season ends. All right, let's talk about the draft. Okay, draft's over. All right, combine's coming up. Or combine, then draft, and then it's like preseason's coming up in a month. Let's talk about preseason now.
Right.
No other sport does that.
OTAs, voluntary OTAs.
It's so dumb. They try to create all this. It's all this manufactured drama. Oh, Odell Beckham Jr. didn't show up to practice. Well, it's not mandatory yet, but still, he didn't show up. Like, it's not a news story, man.
Right.
Talk about anything else. Baseball season's still going on. Talk about that.
It's freaking me out, and all Cleveland fans freaking us out that we could potentially have this powerhouse football team there. It's freaking everybody out. Like, oh no, what if this is all bullshit and they end up 7-9 or some,
That season of Hard Knocks, you guys were in Hard Knocks this past season, right?
Yeah.
That was a really good season.
Wasn't that funny?
Yeah, that was really entertaining.
It was awesome.
Yeah, I like that.
That might have been, what else? The original one maybe with the Ravens or somebody was good years ago. But that one was good, man.
Yeah, that one was really good.
I had a lot of friends of mine say, okay, I'm a Browns fan. I'm in.
It sucks, too. I actually watched a Browns game for the first time ever because of Hard Knocks. I think they lost, but I was like invested. I was like, oh, I know these guys now.
Yeah, right? It's so weird.
Yeah.
Yeah. They, man, on paper, you look at those guys and, you got Beckham and Jarvis Landry, and Nkochu, their tight end. The running backs are just like, they got one right after another. They got the guy from Kansas City that got in trouble. So, what's his name? Kareem Hunt? Is that the right guy? Son Joe, let me know if that's Kareem Hunt's the guy. It is, thank you.
And I just wish the Lions weren't awful.
They literally can't be forever. That's what I've been saying with the Browns. They cannot be. It's impossible.
They've been doing it.
I know, but at some point, 20 years from now, at some point, it's all got to change. It has to.
It's going to be one of those stories where I'm going to be 100 years old. We're going to win a championship. I'm going to be telling like my great grandkids, I remember back when we had a fellow named Matthew Stafford, had an arm like a cannon, but they didn't give an O-line until 100 years later. Sucks.
Yeah. Now it's his great-grandson's the quarterback.
All right. Oh, you mean Matt Stafford the third? No, I mean Matthew Stafford.
I remember one game, they beat the Browns. The last play of the game, and Stafford, it was a quarterback sneak or something. It was the last play of the game. They're on like the 3-yard line. He does a quarterback sneak from the 3-yard line. And it's like, I mean, seriously, how do you get beat on a quarterback sneak from 3 yards out?
Matt Stafford is the king of comebacks.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure somebody can fact check me on this, but I'm pretty sure there was a season where they broke a record for most come from behind victories. I want to say it was like maybe 2 seasons ago.
Yeah.
I'm not sure the specifics of the stat, but it was something along the lines of like there was the most games in a regular season where they had been down going into the fourth quarter and won. And like that's every fucking Lions game. Like it's always just like shit. And then we get used to it, so we're like, oh, wait to the fourth quarter, wait to the fourth quarter, wait to the fourth quarter. So we always say we're watching Lions. If you ever watch a Lions game with fans, we could be down 45 points going into the fourth. We're like, oh, Stafford's gonna turn it on. He's gonna turn it on now. Like we're so delusional. Every year, this is our year.
So delusional.
We are like we
can
know
relate,
it too.
man.
We know it because we'll be like, yeah. We at the end of this game, we're like, yeah, we knew he was gonna blow it. It's like well, we just said he wasn't gonna blow it.
Right.
It's hard, man.
That's so sick that we tie up so much of our lives, invest so much of our lives in this stuff.
Yeah, that's why.
And
That's why I had to stop
means
watching
nothing.
it. I mean, that's what it was really. Like, I Sundays would happen. We'd all go out. We'd go to the bar. We'd watch the game. We'd get real fucking pissed, and then like the whole rest of my day is ruined. And it's like at the beginning of the last season, I was like, I don't want to do this anymore, so I didn't watch. I might go back to watching it again this season. Hopefully with a different perspective, like lower expectations. But it was nice going a whole season without having shitty Sundays.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, you can only watch so much losing before you just
Right. Well,
done
and it's the
watching it.
time too. Are you do you work Sundays or no?
No, Sundays are usually my.
Good.
I'm usually either coming back from the road or I just have the day off.
Yeah, I think that's a smart move.
Yeah, I try not to book anything on Sundays normally.
Yeah, that family time and give you a chance to take a breath and.
Yeah, I do a lot, so like I need those days. Like,
Yeah,
because like
right.
between the traveling and the voiceover work and the occasional acting gig and the podcast,
Right.
and I do video editing stuff too. I need a Sunday off.
Right.
Like this Sunday is going to be a really nice Sunday because I'm busy. I've been busy since last Tuesday, and so this Sunday will be my first day off. I'm excited about it.
Yeah.
Although it's going to be the same way every Sunday. It's always I'm not going to do shit all day. Just gonna, I'm gonna catch up on some TV. I start watching TV, and then I'm like, I should probably go do something. And then I just go out and do something.
Right.
I get all antsy, man. I can't stay in one place for that long.
Yeah. Yeah. It feels like you're wasting time.
Yeah.
Which you are. We are.
Yeah. Well, there's what's the term for that? The idea that you're not like contributing to society if you take any time for yourself.
Yeah. Well,
which I feel like we need time for ourselves. Like that's how you're gonna go crazy if you don't.
we do, man. You are 100%. We're every 2 weeks within the company I own, AutoMax Recruiting. We do collectively. We'll pick a topic and we'll talk about that online, mostly on Facebook, for 2 weeks. And this one is hashtag life work balance. And it's been really interesting to see what my team members have said about their life and work and balance.
Yeah.
Because we grind these poor people out, man. It's like, but they all work from home.
Yeah.
During 08 and 09, when all hell broke loose economically, we had 2 brick and mortar offices across the country, and I closed them down, man. Business was it was a nightmare.
Yeah.
And to keep the business going, I just said, we'll figure it out. We'll have everybody work from home. And
Definitely saves an overhead.
it's weird. Yeah. Yeah. Although you still got to pay workman's comp. That pisses me off. If anyone can tell me out there why you have to pay workman's comp when you don't have an office.
So like if someone gets injured in their home while they're doing work for you, you have to pay them workers' comp?
Yeah.
Huh.
Isn't that weird?
That is weird.
It makes no sense to me at all.
It's not your fault at all that something happened to them.
Right. I mean, they could plant bear traps all over their house. Oh, a bear trap cut off my leg. You owe me $1 billion, Craig. It's like, oh, shit.
Check that.
I know, right? I don't know. It's weird, but it's true. So, yeah, but they had this life-work balance, and it's really pretty cool the way they express themselves on it. And then it got some play on Facebook. It was pretty interesting, and other people started doing it as well, using the same hashtag. So that was kind of interesting. Yeah, because it's important. It's a fine line, man.
Yeah.
You know, guy your age, you're late 30s?
33.
You're 33,
Yeah.
Okay. 33, you got, like that 15-year window, 18-year window. You really got to hammer it, man.
Yeah.
I mean, you just do. You just do.
The goal is to be rich enough to at least not have to be hammering it too much by 50.
Yeah,
Like
right.
I'd like to be able to relax by 50 and enjoy
Correct.
life.
Right.
But it's going to take a lot of work to get to that point before then.
Which is okay because
Yeah.
you're 33.
Yeah.
And, these are your earning years.
Yeah.
So, even if you're not earning the money, getting the money right now, you're setting yourself up to get it
Yeah.
when you're in your 40s and 50s. That's the way it worked for me, man. That's the way it worked for me. Now it's like, I think I'll start a podcast. Yeah, but how about else? How about everything else? You guys handle it. You're doing fine. And that's a real nice position to be in. It's great. I got like amazing people. They're just awesome. It's weird, very dysfunctional family that works well together as a company. Yeah, it's pretty weird. There's 33 of us, and there's some interesting folks, man. We've got trainers that they recruit, and then they initially train people that have never sold cars before all over the country. So these guys, I mean, it's kind of like it's kind of like what you do for a living. I mean, they show up at a dealership in some strange town on a Sunday night or a Monday morning. They go to the dealership. They have to interview everybody, and then they train. Then, based on some criteria, based on our interview process that we use, we invite certain amount of those people back for initial sales training.
Yeah.
And within a week, these trainers that I have out on the road have to make friends with the dealership because that's who's paying us. They want to positively affect the people's lives that they're dealing with that are getting into the car business. So they're not, being lied to about, the kind of money that can be made and this and that, because there's a lot of that out there, unfortunately. But they don't know, when they show up, they don't have any idea what's going to happen.
Yeah.
They don't have any idea if somebody's going to show up, people are going to show up or not. Now we have, because of like the one friend of the program, this Automotive HR, we have a platform that kind of guarantees that we're going to be successful, that nobody else has. But still, it's like you could show up, man. It's like you said, what'd you say? 4 people showed up at a gig here just recently.
Yeah.
It's like, God, that would freak me out. That would freak me out.
Yeah, it's weird.
What do you do with your head when, I mean, it's like...
You just accept it. Like, it's pretty much you walk into the venue, and then you're like, what time is the show supposed to start? 5 minutes? There's only 4 people here. And then you get angry about it, and you're like, oh, why don't they fucking advertise this show more? Why don't they promote it? Like, why don't they do this? Why don't they do that? Why don't they do this? Why don't they do that? Then it's like, fuck it. It's like, you're just going to do the show. Like, you quickly go through all those stages, and it's like, well, I mean, they're still paying me to be here. Those 4 people showed up to see a show. They're going to get a show. So you just kind of get out of the system, and it's usually you're never usually the only comic. There's always another comic there, so you get somebody to at least talk to about it, and they're always just as angry as you are that there's only 4 there.
Right.
So then I've had this conversation tons of times, and it's always just like, well, we're gonna give them a show. We're here to do a show. Fuck it, we're gonna do a show anyway. So it's just you just accept it. I mean, it's part of the job.
Well, I would think you'd almost you have to take that attitude, because if the guy's on before you, let's say, And if his or her attitude is totally in the shitter about the situation, I would just think, I guess what I'm trying to say is that it'd be easier to be funny and kill if the person before you was funny.
Yeah.
If they sucked and were mad and mean.
Yeah, then the crowd gets in a funk before you even go on.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. And is that true? It
Oh, yeah.
seems true.
Oh, yeah, it's 100% true. I mean, a crappy opener can really derail a whole show.
Right.
Especially if they go out there and if they're angry or if they're just not funny, that's now set the tone in the crowd. And now as the next comedian, you have more work to do.
Right.
So now you have to dig them out. Not only do you have to go from, if you were to walk in, sit down, and then I start doing comedy,
Right.
it's a lot easier for you to, okay, I'm going to start laughing now. But if you walk in, you sit down, you sit through bad comedy, now you're thinking, well, this guy better be good. So now it's just like, okay, well, now I've got extra work to do.
Gotcha.
Yeah, shitty openers are the worst.
Right. And who picks them?
It depends. Sometimes the agency that books you picks them. Sometimes the club manager knows somebody and they ask them to go up. Sometimes just the club, it's the schedule. So it's usually the club. But depending on how the club works, if they have an agency that they book through, then it's the agency that picks them. The host is usually somebody local. It's usually like a local open micer or something that hosts the show. But for the most part, you want them to be good. If you're like an established name, like if you're Tom Segura, you can bring whoever the hell you want to open for you.
Right.
Like if Tom Segura and I are friends, he would just be
Right.
like, Mike, let's go do the Laugh Factory. And,
Right.
You know.
Let's make that happen.
Yeah. But when you're like somebody like me, when I'm headlining smaller shows, I headline like small venues. And like sometimes I'm allowed to bring somebody with me, but for the most part, no. But if I am allowed to bring somebody, I usually bring somebody who I think is really funny and will do a really good job.
Right.
A lot of headliners won't do that because they don't want to get buried. Like they don't want to put somebody up who's funnier than them first, and then they go on.
That's weird.
And then after the show, the crowd's like, "Well, I thought you should have been the headliner."
Yeah.
So some headliners like that. The headliners who are like that are dicks. But I mean, for the most part, headliners are like, "Yeah, you're funny. Come with me. We want you to. We want to have a good show."
Right.
And then when going back to the 4 people thing, I think my main motivation is I don't want to punish the 4 people who actually showed up to this show.
Yeah.
Like, because I mean, they're the ones who got out of their house and they came to support live comedy.
Pay
I'm not
for
gonna
babysitter.
Yeah, I'm not going to give them a shitty show because 300 other people didn't show up. Not 300. That's way too many for 4 people to only show up. But, because a bunch of people didn't show up. That's just not fair to those people.
Right.
Like, you got to show them appreciation so then they'll come back and they'll tell their friends about it.
Yeah.
And the next time you do a show there, they'll be like, oh, this guy's really good.
Well, you can bet, good or bad experience, they're going to tell at least one other person.
Yeah.
So if they can go, how was the comedy club last night? It was good. There wasn't many people there, but man, this one guy, he really, I'll tell you what, he poured his heart and soul in this thing, man, and dude was funny.
Yeah.
And then that can't do anything but good, right? There's no downside to that.
No. And I mean, even if somebody says something like, oh, there was nobody there, that's never the comedian's fault. Like, nobody's ever going to be like, oh, there's nobody there. That comedian must have sucked. Like, one guy walked up to that show I did where there was 4 people there. Before 4 people were there, there was only 2 people there. And the other 2 showed up like a minute before the show started. And this guy gets up, and he was there before I walked in and just saw the 2 people and went back to the back room and was talking to their comic. And the guy gets up and goes to the bar, and he's like, this show's supposed to start in 3 minutes, and it's just us here. You guys should do better promoting. And I'm like,
Amen,
yeah.
brother.
I'm like, that guy gets it.
I'm going to do extra 2 minutes of my set. That's pretty funny. I wonder, so actually you didn't start this until in your late 20s.
Yeah.
So was there something all the way along in your life that was like, that interests you about this, or how'd that all come about?
I've always been funny, and I've always enjoyed stand-up. And it was just one of those things where somebody was like, you should try stand-up. And so I went to an open mic, and I sat through it. And at the end, I thought, well, I could definitely do stand-up. And
Really, right then and there,
yeah, well, I've always been very confident. I never had a problem like speaking in front of people or anything like that. And I watched this stand-up, and it was very mediocre comedy. And so in my mind, I was like, well, if they can get up and do it, like, I'll apply. And so, like, I went, I asked, there's actually Brian Borbeau, who runs a show called Sunday Night Funnies in Grand Rapids. I went and did his show. I was like, hey, man, I'm a new comic. Like, I want to try out some comedy. And he's like, yep. And he put me on the lineup, and I went. I did 5 minutes, and it went well. Like, a lot of comics talk about, like, the first time was terrible. It was terrible. Like, I just told a story that I knew was funny, And so it was like about my life. So I went up, told the story, people liked it, and that was it. I was like, oh, this feels good. I like this. I want to do this again. So I kept doing it. I didn't take it very seriously for the first like 3 or 4 years though. Like it was like a lot of me just like going up and riffing every time. Like there's a huge hump you have to get over, a mental hump that I've seen hundreds of comedians try to get over. And it's the idea of comedy is you have to practice it to be good at it.
Right.
And to practice it means you have to do the same sets over and over and over and over again.
Right.
And I hated doing that.
Right.
Like I was like, what if that one person saw me last week? I don't want them to see me do the same. It took me a year. I was just doing different material every time, not practicing anything, not making anything better, just trying to ad lib all the time.
Yeah.
And I started to feel like I was getting stuck in a rut.
Right.
And so finally I was like, I don't know what I should be doing. And then finally it just took a bunch of other established comedians being like, you have to practice. Like you have to keep trying.
And that means you have to travel so that that doesn't take place where the guy, hey man, I heard that joke last week across town.
I mean, it was very much like it was a lot of me like traveling to cities nearby that all had open mics.
Right.
And like losing a lot of money just traveling and doing shows for free. But I got to work out jokes and I got to work, do jokes 10, 11, 20, 30 times.
Yeah.
So now it's all good now. But back
Yeah.
then I was just like, and I tell people too, comics come to me and ask me for advice, and I'm like, don't do what I did. Don't try to do new material every single time you do a show.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's the biggest hurdle for every new comic is just repetition.
I would think if you asked every single comic for advice, they'd all give you some different advice. Probably most of it bad. I would
say, I think I would disagree with that. I think most of the advice is the same advice. Because, I mean, comedy, there's no, like, hidden secret formula to doing comedy. Like, it's pretty much just, what's the old adage? Time plus tragedy plus time equals comedy. Like, it's pretty much just find something that you think is funny and then work it to where it's interesting for someone else to listen to. And then practice and get up and get on stage and get on stage and get on stage. Every comic will tell you that. Like, you got to get on stage. You got to get up as much as possible.
Right.
Not too much where you bring yourself out, which I've seen people do, but enough to where you can practice it and become comfortable on stage. The biggest part is just being comfortable on stage.
Right.
Like I've seen so many comics who are great joke writers but have the worst stage presence. And it's like, what you're writing is funny, but I don't really want to laugh because you look uncomfortable. So like, it's just, and that comes from just being on stage.
Things,
yeah, and people pick up on that. Like black crowds pick up on that really well. But I mean, people pick up, like, if I watch someone on stage and they're looking uncomfortable, I feel uncomfortable. I don't want to laugh at that. They don't look safe up there.
Really?
Yeah, it's weird.
That's strange. And there's an ethnic bias with comedians.
Well, I mean,
in a club.
Well, black crowds will, if they sense any weakness in you on stage, will pounce on you. Like,
really?
They will yell at you. They'll heckle you. Like, white crowds are very much like, we'll listen to what you have to say. But like black crowds, the second you get up there, if you're like,
not real,
oof. I've seen people get eaten alive, man.
That's pretty awesome. That's pretty cool, actually. Have you done comedy in New York?
Not yet.
Or Boston?
I haven't done much of the East Coast. I think, what's the farthest east I've gone? Anything on the East Coast, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm planning on going to New York at some point this year.
Yeah.
I'm planning to go to New York and LA at some point this year to try out both of them and see what they're like.
Yeah.
I have a lot of friends who have performed in New York, and the vibe is obviously a lot different than LA, but I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be, people in New York are a lot edgier on stage, and it's a lot more
supposedly.
It's a lot more like, for anyone who didn't see, I just put air quotes up when I said edgier.
Yeah.
But it's New York, it's rough and tough, that kind of vibe.
Yeah.
Whereas LA is a lot more laid back, and like everybody's very like,
supposedly,
relaxed and stuff. But both those scenes are just so crowded that it's just, if you don't know somebody, it's a nightmare.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. You know better than me, but I would still think that talent still is going to get found. I really think it is. All it takes is one made it comic sitting in the back of the room going, this son of a bitch is funny, man. It just takes that one guy,
Yeah.
So, you never know, right?
Yeah. Hopefully one day.
If
Hopefully.
he's the right guy.
I'll give you guys a shout out if I ever make it.
You'll do it. You'll do it. If you don't quit, you'll do it. You seem like a smart guy. You're a nice guy. Why not you? I mean, really, why not?
I agree with
that. Zero reason why you can't.
If there's any Tom Segura, if you're watching this,
Yeah.
my
That's
friend
right,
Mike
Tom.
Cronin just opened for you last weekend. I would love to open for you. So
Awesome. Hear that, Tom? Christina? Get him on the Mommy's House.
I'd be very good on that show, you guys.
Yeah. That show's weird. It's so weird. I feel I have to take a shower after I watch that show. So I feel so dirty. It's so bad. And Joey Diaz's podcast, too. It's like, oh, Joey, come on. I can only take so many of those stories. How that guy can remember street addresses from 50 years ago or whatever the hell it is mind-blowing to me. Mind-blowing.
I barely know the address of the house I grew up in.
I don't know the street name of the house, the next one down from mine. I don't know it. I was thinking about that the other day. This guy's ripping off names. I'm going, shit, I don't know what the next street down from me is. It's like, what the hell, man? Well, let's see. What time is it? It's a little bit off. We've been at this 2 hours and 22 minutes. Anything you want to promote? What do you got going on?
Just got my podcast. This better be good. It's on all streaming platforms.
This better be good.
And then I got
the podcast.
I got a show down in Louisville, Kentucky. I'm taking this week off. This next coming week off.
Okay.
If you're in Michigan, you can find me this Thursday headlining in Otsego, Michigan, at M89 Bar and Grill. If you're in Grand Rapids, you can see me at Dr. Grin's Comedy Club tomorrow night. And if you're in Louisville, Kentucky on the 30th, you can find me at a loft downtown performing, featuring for somebody whose name I forgot.
just any old loft, or
It's just any loft.
Yeah.
A loft downtown in Louisville. I'll be in Cleveland that week too, if you want to.
Oh, are you?
Check me out.
Cool.
Yeah, go to my Facebook. My show dates are on my fan page on there.
Okay.
Instagram and Twitter is both Ice Cold Comedian.
Ice Cold Comedian.
My YouTube channel is
It's not all one word, is it?
It is one word, yeah.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
And my YouTube channel is The Ice Cold Comedian.
Oh, that's right. Right.
Not Mike Logan, who performed at Gotham. I'm
Right.
not that guy.
Right. He's not that guy.
And I'm not Mike Logan, the substitute teacher / comedian from Los Angeles. I'm not that guy. And I'm not former Pittsburgh Steelers Hall of Famer
Right.
Mike Logan.
Right.
Who he and I actually chat online all the time.
Really?
Yeah.
Because people confuse you with him?
I sent him a message one day. I did a job swap with a meteorologist in Grand Rapids. Did you ever see that viral meteorologist who went crazy on his staff?
Oh, yeah.
I know that. I'm friends with that guy.
No way.
He's a meteorologist in Grand Rapids. He just moved to Kansas City recently, but he was in Grand Rapids, and he and I met during a celebrity basketball game.
Get out.
And I was like, we should do a job swap where I do the weather and you host my comedy show. So we did. It's on their Fox 17 News website or whatever.
Nice.
And I managed to squeeze in as much product placement as I could during the meteorologist broadcast.
Yeah.
Including a local strip club in Grand Rapids.
Good move.
But yeah, so then I was like, I should reach out to this Mike Logan, former Pittsburgh Steelers player, to see if he wants to do a job swap, because he's got a radio show on ESPN. And I messaged him, and he said yes. And then I actually had a show in Pittsburgh, but he was busy, so it didn't line up. Right. But he and I still talk because he's trying to start a podcast, and he said if anybody's got any advice, and so I sent him some messages, and we chat every now and then about it. But yeah, so I'm in with every Mike Logan in the country.
That's weird. Mike Logan is not exactly a African American name.
No, and it's weird.
Mike Logan sounds white as hell to me.
Well, I'm adopted actually. My parents are both white, and I named myself after Michael Jordan.
Oh, no way.
I did, yeah.
Get out.
I was adopted when I was 5, so I switched it to Michael because my original name was Kevin.
How freaking interesting is that?
Yeah. But then apparently there's 3 other black dudes named Mike Logan, and they're all entertainers.
Yeah. And your parents were cool with that?
Yeah.
How awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. You still close with them?
My dad died 3 years ago.
I'm sorry about that.
Sorry, he's over it. But my mom lives down in Louisville. So that's actually why I booked that show.
Oh,
because she's never seen me do comedy.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that'll be cool.
She actually, there's a place in Royal Oak, Michigan called the Comedy Castle. And it's that was a dream of mine to perform at the Comedy Castle. And I finally got a weekend there last year. and she had tickets to go see NASCAR in Houston, Texas that day. The whole weekend. So she never got a chance to see me. And it was like a lifelong dream was to perform there. So I was like, well, I guess I got to book a show down in Louisville to get her to see me do comedy.
I would think Louisville that'd be probably a pretty good place to go.
I've heard it's a fun city.
Yeah, I've been there. It is fun.
I've got a friend down there. His name is Kevin Knupp. He's a radio DJ named Gravy. He's actually the is it morning drive or like the midday one? What's the afternoon drive one?
Yeah.
And it's like the number one afternoon drive DJ in Louisville.
Yeah.
And so he's hopefully going to show me a real good time when I'm down there.
Yeah, good. Get you on the air before the show?
Probably. I'll probably ask him to.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Those are good, right? Are those good to do?
Radio spots? Yeah, you usually do pull extra people.
I would think.
Yeah.
I would think. Somebody.
Morning news spots are the fucking worst. They almost never pull people. And I mean, the people who are, when I think of my comedy, the people who are watching morning news when I'm on at 7 a.m. aren't usually people that go to see my comedy shows. So
Yeah, they're 85 and up.
yeah, so there's no real point in doing those.
That's weird. Never thought of that.
Yeah.
That's true though, right?
Yeah.
That's exactly right. Huh. That's interesting. My son. That's funny. All right, so I'm about ready to wrap up and get your ass on the road here, man.
Yeah, man.
That's
It's sit in the car for another 11 hours.
Freaking me out that you got to make that drive. You're going to drive that overnight.
I did. I drove back from Minnesota one time, 9.5 hours, and went straight to a Game of Thrones watch party. Then watched because it was the series finale of Game of Thrones. Like I drove from the hotel to the Game of Thrones party, and then got real drunk.
After how long a drive?
It was 9.5 hours.
Yeah, this is about that.
A little longer.
I can't believe. Well, no, 11. Yeah,
It's like 10 hours,
from
45
Grand
minutes.
Rapids. That's right.
Because it's the other side of Michigan.
Yeah, that's right.
If I was going to like Detroit, it'd be like 9 hours.
Yeah. Because when we put this together, I was thinking Detroit, and I don't know why. It was like, well, shit, it's only 8.5, 9 hours. But no, you're way out here.
Yeah, it's all good though.
Yeah. I'm so glad that that Matt and I put us together.
Yeah, man, this is fun.
Yeah, really. You're a real gentleman, man. I've really enjoyed
thanks, man.
the whole time.
You're a good interviewer.
Thanks.
I've been interviewed by a lot of people. You're a good one, man.
Well, we just kind of talked, didn't we?
Yeah, I like that. You also didn't ask stupid generic questions.
Yeah.
What's the worst heckle you've ever had?
Yeah.
These are the crap people ask.
Yeah, I had about, no, it's not with me. All the questions not to ask, I wrote them all down to make sure.
Oh, really?
they
Oh,
were-
I'd love to hear the
Yeah, and there were one. That was one.
worst heckle.
Yeah, right. Do you do much crowd work?
I mean, if I have to, I don't
Yeah.
like. I'm not like what's his name?
Yeah.
I keep forgetting people's names.
Yeah,
I'm not
know.
like Big J Okerson, where like
Yeah,
it's just
right,
all
right,
crowd work.
right.
Like if somebody's talking to me, I'll usually shut them down and stuff.
That's a
but
real art, I would think.
I'm pretty good
If
at
you're
it.
good.
A lot of people aren't good at it, but I'm pretty good at it. I don't mind it. I prefer people don't talk to me during the set, but if
Sure.
they do, I'll shut them up real quick.
Yeah, you have to, I guess, right?
Yeah.
You cannot let that build.
No, because then everyone else thinks it's fair game to start yakking and stuff, and that's never fun.
Yeah. And you do meet and greets with everybody, right?
Yeah, after the show, I'll stick
Yeah.
around, be like, want a picture or anything like that, sell some merchandise.
People must dig that, I would think.
It's cool. I mean, I sell merch, so I have these.
Oh, good.
I have these beer koozies, and my reasoning is I do shows for mostly white rooms, so beer
Right.
koozies.
Yeah,
And-
that's right in the wheelhouse.
Yeah, they sell out like crazy. Like I'll go on a tour and I'll get like 150 of them, and
Yeah.
they'll be gone by the second day of the tour because like people just fucking love them. Like people come up, they're like, I need 5 of them.
Oh, that's so funny, man.
But yeah, I'll stick around after the show. I'll chat with people and stuff. I love people. Like I mean, I have no problem with talking to everybody, taking pictures if they want and stuff. It's fun.
Yeah.
Also, it's just nice to hear people tell you you're great.
Yeah. Well, listen, and I mean this, whenever, I'd love to have you back someday. So,
Yeah.
Open invitation. Whenever you need or want to be on, just call me.
Cool, man. If I have a show in Philly or something like that, I'll make sure to get a hold of you ahead of time.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely do that. And I'll try to keep track with your stuff. But Yeah, definitely do that. I'd
Cool.
love to see that. I'll bring some of my crazy friends up. So,
All right.
all right. Thanks so much for doing this.
All right, man. Thanks for having me.
I appreciate it so much. All right, everybody. We're out. Peace.
Ooh.